Good, good. Ready to attack this next chapter in our Ready to Player 2 series where we play through Detroit Become Human.
Yes, sir.
You
And
excited about this?
I'm very excited because some shit went down in the last episode, and it got a little crazy. And we also got off the rails a little bit in that last one because we had it was a three-man discussion on what the
Yeah.
game was all about. So we got into some shit, which I think now we can kind of settle back into our regular
I hope you're
flow of
okay
just
today.
me and you. Oh yeah, I'm fine,
I
thanks. You
know
just asked me if I'm
sometimes
okay.
things can be difficult, but
So I think we can get back into our regular
here
rhythm
for
of
you.
us just like deciding things that we like and hate, and me just getting back to killing people because that's what I do well in this game is murdering Connor left and right over and over as many times as I possibly can. Even though he's
Poor
clearly my
God.
favorite character, I don't know what's wrong with me. Fucking weird. It's like how I guess I handle relationships. I'm just like, oh, why do I hurt the ones I love? But anyway. So yep, I'm ready to go, man. Sorry, I had a little bit of cave of therapy right there. I
Nice,
apologize.
nice. Cave. Oh, therapy.
We're mixing
All
our
right,
shows
so
now.
So let's cut to the chase on this
Yes,
one.
sir.
If this is your first video you're watching of this, I mean it's a whole adventure. We've got 31 missions before this. The missions are relatively short, so you could go back. Like the missions themselves are relatively short, but go back to the earlier
Accessing the
videos.
story
Start with
chart.
mission 1 and just find where the gameplay is. It's like you're talking
Right.
about 5 to 15 minutes or something like that on each gameplay, and then our talking goes beyond that. That's what we do. We go down rabbit holes and everything. But start with video 1, make your way back so you know kind of like the how we got here of this.
Right.
If you were listening live, then basically at this point, three main android characters, all right, and one of them is Marcus, who's become kind of like the leader of all the androids. He wants liberation for the androids. He wants equality for the androids, and he's become their leader. Kara was trying to protect Alice, the little girl that she ended up finding out was also a fellow android. But they're bonded. They're trying to protect each other. And last we saw, they snuck off and were trying to cross the border into Canada, who had less anti-android sentiment. And then finally, there's Connor, the law enforcement android who has basically switched sides once he realized he's fighting for the wrong side, and now he's going to go on a one-man mission to attack the actual company that produces the androids that also wants to shut down this android revolution. And that's where we left it.
Yes,
So,
sir.
but before we get into the next chapter here, by the way, do you see you can obviously at this point, everybody can see the title of it. Oh no, wait.
Yes.
Yeah, it's called The Battle for Detroit.
Yes, sir.
And then you could see who the characters are in that one if you scroll over to it.
Yep. So
And as you'll notice,
you will see
this is another cool one.
All three of them pop up in this one.
All three of them will be mentioned in this one, which is pretty freaking cool. So
That's cool. These are always my favorite ones for the most part.
Yep.
They've kind of once they finally got to that point where there's been the crossover between all of them has been the most exciting part. So I'm excited to see where this one goes. For the last one, which was, as we discussed, a lot more of a setup. It was more of just a kind of interstitial between, what had happened in the Crossroads episode previous to that. This was kind of now the build up, right, as they were getting ready for what's our next step going to be. How are we going to protect the androids that are being kind of hunted down and killed, or whatever's going to happen. It was kind of more of a decision for Marcus to get up and determine how he was going to handle this upcoming mission, I guess, the Battle for Detroit. Are you going to go in guns blazing or whatever? You're kind of setting the stage. So it was a little bit less action. I mean, it was entirely less action. It was just more getting ready for what's to come, right?
yeah, it was really all about one question mostly, like other than going around in the room and talking to people.
Right.
And then figuring out that Connor was going to run his side mission and Carl was going to go for the bus and get out of there.
Right.
But it came down to that one question. You're going to do this violent?
Right.
Or, you're going to free your people from the camps by violence? Or are you going to free the people from the camps by negotiating and walking up? And what did you choose?
I chose dialogue negotiation, which has obviously been more of my guy's thing. That's been the angle that I've been taking with Marcus, is that he is trying to take the high road And so this kind of continued to play into that for me, which was cool. And then I think like you mentioned, the thing that I had actually forgotten a little bit about, that Connor running his little kind of side op, he's like on the Black Ops guy now, right? He's like, yeah, I might die, but I got to go do some shit. I'm going to try to like, you know, I'm going to do this other mission where I'm going to try to, you know, like liberate some what was his exact mission? So I remember, I know he was trying to like get some information.
He's going to go and sabotage them from the inside.
Yes. Yeah, that's it.
I'd like
go back in and pretend I'm back on board with them.
And maybe you know what it was? I'm sorry, Craig. So I think what it was is, yeah, I'm sure what it was is, I was going to say Cyberdyne. What's the name of the goddamn company now? Because now. Yeah, what's that? CyberLife, right. Yeah, Cyberdyne wasn't great in my brain that I couldn't get out. Yeah. So CyberLife, he said basically the humans had way too many armies and stuff, right? Yep. And Connor was like, well, we got a bunch of androids sitting in the fucking CyberLife fucking headquarters, so basically he's going to free all of the other androids that are in the CyberLife place, so that facility, so the headquarters, so that then they could, you know, join the fight and turn the tide of the battle.
Right, and Marcus was like, hey, they're going to know that you're bad and, like, you might die. And he's like, yeah, no, I probably will die, but, like, if I can get in there...
But you're saying there's a chance.
Yeah, right, exactly. If I can get something done, anything done, it's worth it, right, to kind of advance the movement, and he's obviously fully on board. So it's he let it off as it being could very well be a suicide, you know, mission for him, but he's down for it, or at least... You know, I think you had to also decide if you believed him or not, you know, because there was that idea of like, oh, could he still be working against you? You don't, you know, like Marcus kind of had a chance to say something, and obviously I straight up was like, no, fuck yeah, Connor, you're my boy. Like, I believe you, so go do what you got to do. And I trusted him, and so that's kind of how he spun off his story. And then it ended with Marcus getting up, giving his big speech and saying, you know, if we just go in and start killing people again or whatever, like, they're never going to stop coming after us. Like, we have to at least at some point show that we want to, you know, what we are saying we want to fight for is also the way we're fighting for it. Like, if we're fighting for equality, we're also going to treat them, you know, like treat them how we want to be treated, right? The golden rule. And that was kind of the whole purpose of Marcus's speech to lead into this mission, and that's kind of how it ended. So that's
yes, sir.
That wraps up pretty much that whole one.
Yes, so now we're going to get into the part of the show at the very beginning we start everything off with. Before we go any further or talk about anything of big substance and start playing video games, we are going to get the sustenance. We always pick a beer of the show, and we look forward with that. So, I mean, I know, I don't know about you, I've been pushing to clear my fridge I got a big Tavor shipment delivered last week or the week before, whatever, and I've so many beers that they spilled over from my beer fridge into the main fridge. Wife is yelling at me like, you need to drink those fucking beers and get them out of the main fridge. So, you know, poor me. Now I gotta drink a bunch of so I'm like hounding Craig, like, when's the next time? Because these are such good beers that I don't want to just drink it just on my own or whatever. These are either meant to be shared in person with somebody, or, you know, meant for me to share my thoughts and my experience drinking it over this type of forum. Right. And we'll get into Tavor in a little bit, but first, let me go. Are you drinking a Tavor beer tonight, or what are you drinking?
I am not. So I'll dive right into mine real quick then, because I have been known periodically on this show. Unfortunately for Jest, I've been known to, like, hey, I'm doing it, or hey, I'm on a diet or something like that. Like, there's all kinds of horrible things where I'm just like, I don't know, I turned into a girl tonight. Like, it doesn't matter the reason. The end of it is basically that I just was not drinking. Well, Jest, I apologize to let you know that today is going to be one of those days. This is not a twist.
The return of ass water.
This is the upside, though. The upside of this all is that it is at least not by my own decision. It's not because I chose, to fucking do a dry month or some dumb shit like that. Or I was like, oh, it's a day that ends in Y, so I'm not drinking today. It's none of that bullshit. It's actually that last week I ended up getting pretty fucking sick because I got somehow like massively infected with like poison oak / poison ivy, and we're not sure which one, but like fucking real bad all over the place. And so it actually it was so bad.
Sitting on his balls. Definitely had it on his balls.
I mean, only on my balls. Actually, that's the only place I got it. It was weird. But
Yikes.
It's like, man, how do I garden? It must be strange. But anyway, so it was like, oh,
so
my
is it
arms
time to turn on the PS4 camera right now?
Right, exactly.
I
don't normally do this, but now everyone gets a chance to see my taint. So anyway, but basically, because it was so bad, it actually ended up fucking up, like, it ended up fucking up my whole system, and I ended up getting real sick from that too on top of it. So I had the, like, physical reaction, and then on top of that also just got like an actual, like infection, whatever, cold. So I'm on a bunch of medications right now, and you'll also probably hear I will be coughing throughout the course of this, trying to cover up the mic. That's the best time to drink. So yeah, no, I'm on medications that will actually be rendered relatively useless if I do drink. So I'm like, I'd rather actually power through the medicine and get back to the point where I feel better and can drink than, render them kind of moot, and then I'm ended up doing this even longer. So bummer for me.
We'll give you a pass.
Yeah, bummer for me.
Tell us about
so I am back to.
That explains your sexy voice.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, thanks. That's what I was going for. I am back to the.
Yo, Jess, what's up? It's me, CraigMakk. Right. I'm telling you about my ass water.
Yep. So, as in my sexy voice, I'll tell you all about my Dr. Pete's ass water that I am drinking yet again. He's making his triumphant return to the man cave, as I am. See, it's going to make me start laughing, and that's going to make me cough, and it's going to be a vicious cycle. So, yeah, I'm going to stop talking and take a sip, so that you can tell us about your actual real man's drink and not your...
Wait, so you're going with actual Dr. Pete's. You're not doing, like, pineapple or anything. It's Dr. Pete back to, like,
the Dr. Pete's ass water, yeah. So this
which is like a Dr. Pepper flavored...
Dr. Pepper, yep. It's
Soda Stream.
Soda Stream, yep. So that's what I'm going to be drinking, and we'll see what happens.
So mine is maybe the beer version of that, because Dr. Pete's ass water sounds delicious. Mine sounds really delicious and crisp and refreshing. We talked in prior shows generally about what a Kolsch is, right? And you actually nailed the general definition of it down pretty well before. But
had it one of the last ones we did, right?
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. It was like maybe 2 ago, like maybe Mission 30 or something like that. But your explanation broke down what was on the internet pretty well. But as so this is again, Tavour is an app that allows you, and I'll throw up a bunch of links in a minute to explain all the stuff we've been talking about, but Tavour is a beer app that basically allows you to get beers that are not available in your area. Like, you put in your zip code, they know what kind of shit you can't really get in your area. There's some shit that they have that's just overall rare everywhere. We're like limited, like there's only like 300 of these in the whole world, and you can get it through this app. So we've been ordering like a shit ton of this stuff, and I love the app. Craig brought it to the attention of the show. And we'll throw up a code here in a minute, like when I have a chance to type it in, but that'll allow you to get $10 off if you join as a new member, and then we get $10 too. Like, one of us gets $10 and for our account. We get to drink beer off it, and everybody's happy. They don't actually pay us. We're not. They're not advertisers. We're not, they're not paying us to advertise for them. We just found the app. We think it's cool. We're using the regular referral system that they have. But I've been loving this app so far because it allows me to taste a bunch of different shit that, the different beer that I would have never got my hands on. And so for those of you that are like, how there are a lot of wine snobs out there, and like people will pay a bunch of money for rare wines. Craft beer is starting to hit that kind of same notoriety and enthusiasm. So anyway, with all that long preface, let me get to what I'm actually drinking. So this one is called Sam's Fizz, and it is by Brewer's Intent, I believe is the I'm sorry, it's by 50/50 Brewing. So it's called Sam's Fizz Brewer's Intent in parentheses Spring 2019. So we both know 50/50, great brewing company. They're from Truckee, California. Right, and on the bottle here, it even says the elevation of Truckee, California is 5,840 feet. Nice. So I guess that goes into how they're that probably has an effect in their beer and how they're brewing it. The description here on Tavour, by the way, they have these like nice long descriptions, kind of like really fleshing out what you're going for. So it says, German brewing purists are rolling over in their graves after California's 50/50 brewing shattered every rule for making a traditional Kolsch. When the crisp and refreshing lager-like style was created, the guidelines were simple. So this is what really constitutes a Kolsch at its base. Only 3 ingredients permitted: and keep the ABV low so it quenches the thirst of soldiers as they polish off a table full of sausages and schnitzels. 50/50 doesn't think that's good enough. These brewers, who've been featured in Draft Mag's top 25 brewers in the world and Esquire's top 10 beers you'll never taste, have a taste for adventurous brews, and they had different plans. The brewery wanted to crank up the style to new levels of refreshment never experienced before, so they broke every German brewing rule in the book to make Sam's Fizz Barrel Aged Kolsch. Sure, 50/50 started with a traditional Kolsch base, but then they added lemon and vanilla and aged it with juniper inks. With notes of lemon meringue and her herbal spice, Sam's Fizz tastes like a lemon drop gin martini. But there's no need sipping. This 9% ABV beer cocktail is designed for sunny day chugging. If your friends are sticklers for rules, don't share today's beer with them. Only invite the adventurous ones. Watch their eyes widen as you list the ingredients. I'm sure your eyes are widening, right, Craig? When I said all those ingredients, you
made me
like,
really want to just say, fuck my medicine. I'm going into the beer fridge right now. I'm getting a beer. I've never wanted a beer as much as I want right now.
This certainly isn't like any Kolsch you've ever tried. You won't want to scare anyone with more flavorful intensity than they can handle. Today's beer comes from 50/50's Brewer's Intent Rare Bottle Club. Oh, that's what it is. Unless you're a member, Tavour is the only way you could get it.
That's amazing.
So I don't usually read the entire description, but everything in there was interesting as fuck to me. And I can't wait to try this. And I think if I remember correctly, I've said I'm not like a huge Kolsch fan, right? Because it's usually more on the sour end again, and I'm not into that stuff. But the description of that was so damn good that, I mean, again, aged with juniper and gin barrels, Kolsch style ale brewed with lemon and vanilla. Man, right. I mean, how could I not go for that? And then sitting at a nice 9.7% ABV, which again is, that's something I probably like. So you have, I think, Craig, you've kind of swayed influenced my beer drinking. I'm going to pour this into a glass instead of chugging it out of the bottle like a savage.
Nice.
So I just cracked it and I'm smelling it. Oh, that is, it does. It's like the lemon meringue smell hits you immediately. Damn, with the gin and it smells more like a gin cocktail as I open the bottle. And then you could smell even the hint of vanilla in there on the back end of the lemon smell. So now I'm going to pour it into a glass, and it's coming out with a nice caramel type of color. Yes, it's a caramel color, and it's almost like darker up top and lighter at the bottom. So this is beautiful. Like, it just looks good. It looks classy, very classy, especially in a glass. All right, let me take a sip. This is wonderful. I really like this. Oh my gosh, this is I don't even know how to describe this. There's a lot of flavors happening at the same time, and it's not like they're not fighting each other. It's like they're working in concert, like a symphony of flavors. I can taste the lemon. I can taste the beer, like the lager and the beer. It's very crisp. I can taste the vanilla, and it's almost like I could taste honey in there, and the honey's nowhere in the ingredients. So maybe that's just the lemon working with the juniper and the vanilla and the gin, and this is wonderful. This is wow. Super fucking good. This is the best Tavour beer I've had so far.
Nice.
I don't remember how much I paid for this. I'm going to look at it right now.
Right.
What's weird is that in the picture, it looks so red, and it's not red right now. Like as I'm looking at it. Yeah, the image that was on Tavour, it looks almost like red ale, and this is, like I said, it's a caramel, which almost looks lighter at the bottom. It could just be the lighting in the background of the room that's making it look different colors of different parts, but this is... I would so order this again. No wonder the bottle was $21.99.
There you go.
For a pint.
Wow.
So that is pretty fucking expensive. The bottle is a pint, but it is. Greg, I'm telling you, this is the best $21.99 I've spent on beer in a while.
That's amazing.
It is. My only regret is that I'm not in person sharing it with somebody else, but because I only have a pint of it, I'm actually kind of happy about that.
You don't want to only have fucking 8 ounces, so that's pretty solid.
They can listen to this and then order their own. Join
Exactly.
Tavor. See if you can get this next time they
bottle
offer it.
sharing company that they can never get it from, other than the way you did. Now you're just rubbing it in, you bastard.
Yeah. I didn't know 50/50 had a Brewers Intent Rare Bottle Club. That makes me want to join it. That's fucking dope. But hey, I have Tavor, and that got me this. So I'm, wow. Oh, Craig, did you get the chance to order this one? Did this one come up in your feed?
No. I mean, it may have come up,
good.
and I just didn't. I didn't get it, but I definitely did not get that one. And that sounds amazing.
Worth every bit of the $22.
Yeah, that's amazing.
So serious. All right, sorry to rub that in.
I don't want to play anymore.
Oh man. Yeah.
I'm going to bed.
But damn. All right, let's get this adventure started. For those of you that have been patient enough to wait 20 minutes before we start playing the game.
Yeah, by the way, I will just throw out there.
It's par for the course.
We did mention the code that Jess was talking about before. That code Tavor. That if you put in the referral code.
Wait! Don't drop it yet, because I'm gonna hold on. I'm gonna give me a second so I can drop it. So I can say actually drop the code and then I'll retype it again or whatever.
Okay. So basically, if you go to Tavor.com, which is the website, you can also just download the app, like Jess said, onto your phone directly. And it's TAVOUR. And one of the key things to the code is you have to use it, like Jess said, before your first order. So you can't just drop it in at any point in time. So this is basically for new people jumping in. You want to check it out if you've never joined before. You're going to set up an account and use the referral code 448136. And that code 448136 will get you $10 off your first order. And like we said, we'll also get $10 off the Man Cave order as well. We'll get a credit towards our next order to stock the Man Cave. So so it's kind of a win-win for everyone. So check it out. Yeah, it's awesome.
And then you can give out your reference code to your friends in the future.
Yep.
And then let them get $10 off, and then
just keep giving ours off because we hooked you up. Come on.
I just want to point out, not every beer on there is like $22. Like, don't worry. There's some that, like on a prior show here, like I featured one that you got like 2 cans for $6, so $3 for like a rare beer you can't get in your area. Yep. You can't beat that.
Yeah, you'll get stuff for $10 for a bomber beer. But I mean, yeah, you'll. The cool thing about it is you can set your own, your own kind of budget and say, hey, I'm never going to go above this if you want, or you can just say, hey, like Jess does, right? If I see anything that looks good, I'm going to get it. If it looks good, I'm going to pay it, right? But we have even seen they had some stuff where they had bottles that were like, you could get, it was like there was a sour bottle case, and I think it came with like six separate sours that were the whole thing came out to be like $375 or something. So it's like they go all the way up. So it's like they can run the gamut from everything. But I mean, if you want to say I'm never going to get anything above $10, $12, you'll still be able to get some really good selections. So it's definitely worth jumping in there. And then use that $10 to go, $10 off to go splurge and get something a little bit more expensive. And, you knock the $10 off and it's already worth it right there. Cool.
Hey, now's a good time also to point out that, obviously we go down a lot of rabbit holes. We don't just play the game. We talk about a lot of stuff. This is kind of an extension of our regular podcast.
Yes.
So I do want to say we do have our regular podcast. It's called Live from the Man Cave. We got a lot of special projects that we do on there. We do like a Game of Thrones specific one where we discussed Game of Thrones. We're doing one that's called Live from the MCU, which is the Marvel Cinematic Universe or Man Cave Universe, and where we play supervillains in a role-playing game that was made up specifically for us. We also just do a regular podcast where we talk about all kinds of shit entertainment and just bring the funnier, it starts out sometimes really cohesive in the beginning, and by the time we're done drinking at the end, it's a fucking shit show and hopefully an entertaining one.
Yes.
Anyway, it's called Live from the Man Cave. Man Cave is all one word. You can find it basically on any podcast app, or you could go directly to our site, which is www.livemancave.com, and I'll post that in a couple of seconds here, and there it is. So any podcast app, iTunes, all that shit, find it on there, Live from the Man Cave, or you just go directly to the site, find it there. You can find reviews on movies and TV there. You can find our Discord. By the way, we are on Discord, and Discord is like a chat service. So if some shit we say here inspires you and you weren't live to catch the show, you're watching on video, jump on our Discord channel, continue the conversation. You can find a link to that Discord channel at www.livemancave.com, and I'll try and post a direct one as well here in a second. But that's all I got to say. I think, am I missing anything, Mac, before we get into the action?
No, I think we're good. I was sorry. I was just listening to her sing to me right now, and it was pretty amazing.
She's dope. By the way,
very cool.
I posted it on Twitter. Yo, I looked her up.
Yes.
The actress. I don't know if you see my post on that.
I did see that. Yeah, you straight added that. Like you added her, right? Like you were like, she is.
Yeah.
She is.
I don't know if she ever
amazing
responded
in real life as she is in the game, which is pretty cool because we have talked about.
She looks like the actress looks like the Avatar, which is what we were hoping.
Pretty amazing. Yeah, she is incredible, and you do definitely start to get to. Know her. Like you in the beginning, you just think she's just some like, oh, she's just the background of the start screen, right? And then over time, you start to be like, oh yeah, she's like an actual character, and it's pretty cool. And to know that that's actually what she looks like is things are looking good for her. So that's awesome. All
yes, sir. She's also, by the way, the actress was in Life is Strange.
Really?
Yeah, and I don't know. I thought Chloe was played by somebody else, which is something I saw on Twitter seemed to suggest that she was Chloe in Life is Strange, but I don't think that's true. I think that Chloe in Life is Strange is voice actress as the one that played Aloy in Horizon Zero Dawn.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
But I'm not sure on any of that.
Okay.
So, but I'll double check while you're playing through this. But
cool.
I thought that was cool that she's in Life is Strange too.
That is very cool. Nice. Awesome. All right.
All right. Let's get into this.
Hit a little.
If a man has not
continue,
discovered...
and we will see what's gonna happen. Let's see if I kill anybody again. Come on, Connor. Don't you fucking die on me, Connor. Don't you die. All right. This is very. Can't even blame it on the alcohol this time.
I'll just say it's so fucking good, man.
At 6 a.m. this morning, a national curfew was declared.
Even the way it smells is just incredible as it sits in the glass.
The right to assembly is suspended.
Shutting down.
All electronic communications are restricted, and I have granted enhanced powers to our security agencies.
Right,
in addition to these measures, all androids must be handed over to the authorities immediately. Temporary camps are being set up in all our major cities to contain and destroy them.
Well,
I am now
in her defense, she doesn't think they're human.
Right.
Well, then again, neither does Trump.
Right.
He doesn't think immigrants are human.
That everything in our power is being done to guarantee the security of our nation.
Madam President! Please. A convoy of medical cobalt is reported missing. Army weapons stores are also said to have been robbed. Can you confirm these reports?
I have no information on that at this time.
You play the press room.
Madam President! Madam President!
Some say these camps awaken painful memories from human history.
There we go.
That's absurd. There's absolutely no connection. Androids are not living beings.
Nice.
All we are doing is destroying defective machines.
Please!
Please.
Madam President!
What can you tell us about the assault that happened last night?
The FBI raided an abandoned freighter in Detroit at 10:45 p.m. yesterday. Several thousand androids were destroyed or captured. Our forces are now combing the streets to ensure that none got through the net. We are going to find them one by one and destroy them.
Madam President! Please. Madam President! Many believe that androids are a new form of intelligent life. Do you have any comment?
That's ridiculous.
Of course she would say that. Ha! That's all she said.
Please.
That's ridiculous. That's
Please!
She's like, that's ridiculous.
Madam President, public opinion seems to have become increasingly
fake news.
to the deviants,
Yeah, exactly.
particularly since they've adopted a peaceful approach.
Yes.
How do you feel about this?
Peaceful
Public
approach.
opinion is one thing, the security of the state is another. These deviants are dangerous, and my highest priority is to protect the American people. Thank you. That will be all.
Put her on the spot a couple times. That's ridiculous. Good answer. Thanks, President. They look like... Have you played Mass Effect?
No, I really want to because of the way you've described it to me a couple of times.
313-248.
On this show, you've covered it at length. Where, like, you really did drive home the point. Like, I believe the fuck out of you that it's a great game.
care.
They kind of have like their suits remind me of some of the.
Go ahead.
It's very cool. It's definitely worth it. That would be worth a playthrough of that whole trilogy. Just even if you streamed it like yourself, just like going through the fucking decisions you have to make. Because there's so much, so many.
Is it something that's linear like this, or is it one of those games where like there's a lot of shit that I'd be spending like hours exploring?
You could explore.
Because I just like I love Horizon Zero Dawn,
right.
But for purposes of like us, like I stream it on my own, as you know, right? But like us doing something like that for Horizon Zero, I just don't think it'd be.
Oh yeah,
it would be conducive for that.
I think that would be much more like you would stream it by yourself and just kind of like play through the stuff, you know, just because things that the situations you'd be up against would be cool and interesting for you to kind of play through and just be able to, you know, have like out there as a reference of the version that you played through.
Follow me.
I don't necessarily know if I would sit there and like watch you play, just because that game would be. I mean, you're talking about
it's too long.
3 games, right? That are all like 20-something hours each, so you're like, it would take you forever to fucking get through it. I mean, it's taken us forever to get through this, and it's 5 minutes.
But this, so it's is it linear, or is it like where you
linear,
like Horizon Zero Dawn, where you have
have
side quests?
You can like the main gameplay is linear, but there are a lot of side quests and shit like that that you'd also take on. So you can go down a lot of rabbit holes and shit like that.
Okay, so
but
yeah,
the cool
probably
thing is
not the
decisions
best
you make in the very
us,
first.
Ready Player 2.
Right. The decisions you make like in the very first game come back to like impact you in like the 3rd game in the trilogy. Like
that's dope as fuck.
Yeah, it's the coolest thing I've ever seen. Like from a gameplay standpoint, the fact that you're like, oh, that dude that I met like 20 minutes into the first game and I thought he was nobody ends up being like a huge character, you know, or like an important character like fucking 75 hours later in the 3rd game. You're like, this is fucking insane.
I can't wait to play it. It used to be Xbox exclusive, right?
It started as an Xbox exclusive, the first one, and then they eventually launched it, you know, everywhere. Like the very first one.
Can I still get it? Like, can I get Mass Effect 1 in the PlayStation Store?
Trilogy now, I think. Yeah, you can get all 3 of them.
Oh, that's dope.
Yeah.
Oh, fuck. Then I'm doing that. I'm doing that in the future. Goddamn. By the way, did I mention how good this fucking beer is? Oh my god. Oh, give me a tissue. I want to make some origami. This beer is good.
Agent 54, level 31.
Oh, bringing it back, tying all the different shows together.
MCU, that's an MCU reference. Yeah.
It's an MCU joint right there. Reach warehouse on level 4.
Oh yeah.
Alright, so I have to get to level 49. Where the warehouse is. Let's stop the elevator before 31. Neutralize the guards. How do I do that?
Oh, this is dope. There's a movie like this. In an elevator, everybody looks at each other for. Oh, it's fucking. What was it? Winter Soldier?
Winter Soldier, yeah.
Fucking Captain America whoops everybody's ass in the fucking elevator.
Yep. He takes them down pretty nice.
He ain't fucking around. This is stupid shit.
Oh!
Oh!
Alright. Well, Connor.
He mushed his fucking head with his foot. Oh,
that was
shit.
amazing. How do I change the elevator? Oh, there we go. Okay.
That's fucking badass, yo.
That was exactly like fucking,
yeah, like Winter Soldier or whatever.
54, level sub 49.
Voice recognition validated. Access authorized.
Right. Whoop! Nobody saw that, even though it's a fucking glass thing. Thank God I let it get up a little high so no one could see.
The last boss leaves in 20 minutes. That doesn't give us much time. We've got to move fast.
Yeah. Yeah, see, I never saw this scene.
Yeah. Don't worry.
Because she was dead in mine.
Any of these ones with the timers, you know, that's where I shit the bed.
Yeah.
I'll be like, ah, fuck it!
Are you alright?
I'm really cold.
Okay. No, what? Oh. Shit, no, I thought it meant deactivate her for a minute. I was like, what? Wait.
Yeah,
That
like,
seems out of
you're
character.
weak.
Like, oh, you're complaining now? Shut this bitch up.
You are weak. Did you choose deactivate her heat cold settings?
I left it on.
Oh. Oh, I want to ask you why you did that. Why don't you go back?
Yep. That sucks. Yes. Give me that gun. Put that in my purse. She doesn't have her bag.
So these motherfuckers just run around executing everybody in the street now.
Yeah. Yeah, they said they're straight up just like trying to stop anyone from the net. They're trying to stop them from passing through the the capture net, and they're destroying them all the time. Oh damn! This seems crazy though. Like they're just straight gunning them down. Like they're not even rounding them up.
I have to keep going if we want to catch that bus.
You know?
Yeah. So that's that goes back to.
Stay close to me.
We can talk about this after.
Yeah.
I'm going to sneak past them without being noticed.
If they're doing that,
I'm going to make it, Alice.
then why concentration camps? Or why are the concentration camps even necessary?
Right. You're not even bringing them back anywhere.
Don't kill me! I didn't do anything! Shut up, I said! Are there many more?
Because that is the point of a concentration camp, is to concentrate them all in one area, so that you can keep them under control. If you're just going to walk around and just murder them.
Fucking city, believe me, we are far from finished.
Oh wow. Now they're being fucking.
There are soldiers everywhere. We need to be careful.
We are far from fucking finished.
Come on, get moving. Hurry up, get in.
I like how you waited for him to clear before you hit hide.
Yeah. Oh hell yeah.
Just in case, right? Just in case it didn't.
Exactly.
Because it's possible it would have waited,
Right.
but you didn't take that chance.
Right.
Makes sense.
We can't just leave them. They're going
He wants
to
to
kill
save
them.
Jerry? Oh no. Fuck. Alright, let's save the Jerrys.
Okay, let's go.
Fuck. Probably fuck this up, but... Come on,
Hey, buddy.
Jerry's.
This is a mistake. I'm human. I just want to go home. My wife is expecting me, and we're going
Got
to...
orders to check all civilians.
This is tense right now.
No. No! Please!
Damn. That was fucked up.
Fucking androids.
They shot him?
Yep, they shot him. They shot the guy who was like, Wait, what do you mean find a weapon? I have a goddamn gun. Fuck this. Oh, okay. There you go, sucker.
Kara, you saved us. We don't know how to thank you.
Aren't there other guys around?
Where's
Maybe
the little
stop
one?
talking.
She's all right. She's hiding nearby. Go before they see you.
Stop talking. So the guys are out.
Like, why are you fucking shouting? Like, there's 3 dudes that just shot another guy. That motherfucker. Fuck me. Fuck him. Turn around, you fuckbag. He's gonna look right at us. There we go. Here we go. Go. Go, 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 go. God damn it. Okay. Oh, Jesus Christ.
Stressful as shit.
Oh, Jesus.
Especially now that you know that she can die.
Yeah.
And Kara can, and Alice can die.
Alex, yep. This is a fucking insane move. They're trying to, oh, fuck him. Turn just right now. I was about to switch over. Go, 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 go. Keep turning.
God damn, this is the best beer I've drank in a long time. Oh, fuck. It's so good.
Did I make it to the bus terminal? just like casually walking down the street now, just because you got away from a couple of cops. There's fucking military everywhere.
A checkpoint. We have passports. It should be okay, but you never know.
Is there another way?
We could take a detour, but we might miss the bus.
Maybe it's better to be safe.
Fuck you. Checkpoint risky. Going for it. Fuck. Fucking no. Fuck. I can't go for it. Go. Come on. Hold my hand, you bitch. Hurry up.
It's a little girl.
I know. Which way is that? It's that way. Okay, that's wrong.
We're coming to you live from Detroit, where thousands of androids are marching through the city at this very moment. The leader of the deviants, the one they call Marcus, is at the head of the march.
Something's happening in Detroit, Madam President.
0% aviation, thanks. Is that still the same duster he got like when he came out of the room? I mean, out of the
Probably, yeah.
thing all fucked up.
It's like, dude, that shit probably stank.
Yeah. Oh, there's the picture from the screen there. I mean, you know, from the chapter select, it's that guy over there that's like holding two things in his hands. Like a heart. So I can't tell.
I don't remember it.
Yeah, when you chose the like chapter screen, it had that thing in the background, that like statue of the guy standing there holding two.
Okay. Oh yeah. Chapter screen, like for the Battle of Detroit. Yeah.
Yeah, Battle of Detroit.
Because I'm actually still looking at that screen on my PS4.
Oh, nice. Just trying to see march towards the camp. Convince the humans. Well, we are really creepily, slowly marching towards the camp. Like, I don't know if this would make anyone feel more comfortable, because we're like, why are we walking like fucking, like
here we
Jason
are.
Voorhees right now?
Moment of truth.
Yeah. I mean, also though, like it's hard to say that, because if you run or whatever, then you look like you're moving too fast.
But I feel like there's like a normal speed you can walk at that's not
Yeah.
as terrifying.
And they're doing creepy ass fucking like zombie
Terminator creep style, yeah.
zombies.
Right. Shit. People are on our side, so that's what I have to believe.
We don't want confrontation. We are protesting peacefully.
I repeat, surrender now, or we will open fire.
That's all. Oh wow, they definitely just cut us off.
There's no turning back now.
We ask that you release all androids detained in camps and cease all aggression against us. We are peaceful. We will not resort to violence. But we are not leaving until our people are free.
Nice. Alright, good. Tossed in that little line at the end. It's like, we're cool, but not that fucking cool. Oh, am I supposed to be doing shit now? Oh, okay. Oh man, here we go with the fucking zombie creep again. What? Oh, fuck this. Oh, come on! There's nothing else I can do.
Shit, look at all those motherfuckers falling like that.
Yeah, it sucks. He took a couple of bullets, huh?
Are you gonna open fire on unarmed protesters?
Hands up, don't shoot.
Okay, helicopter. Fucking dude, it's catching all this shit.
Yes, Michael, we are less than 100 meters away, and events are unfolding as we speak. We will continue to bring you live updates. Josh Douglas, Channel 16. Michael, back to you.
Marcus, what do we do now?
Hold out. As long as we can.
Alright, Connor. There he is. Let's get back to Connor doing some work.
Stay
sharp.
sharp.
We're gonna be non-violent, except I'm gonna murder some people in this elevator. And then kill these dudes down there. Shit. I like that. Shit. Oh, damn. Damn. He just straight RoboCop those motherfuckers. He was like pop, 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 pop.
He threw a gun at somebody.
Fucking threw a gun in his face and then kicked him. That was amazing.
Yo, he's the most badass character in this whole
He is
shit.
ridiculous. He's the most amazing thing in this game. I love it. Alright, what do I do? How do I convert them all? Do I hand sex everybody? This is gonna be a lot of hand sex.
Hand sex. Here it comes. Oh, you're cute. Hand sex.
Complete your mission. Convert the androids. Oh yeah, here comes the hand sex. I just wish there was a room of Connors hand sexing each other.
Yo, you almost made me spit this fabulous beer out.
I'm sorry. What? Oh, fuck this.
Step back, Connor, and I'll spare him.
Sorry, Connor. Shit. This is fucking crazy.
Just spit an image.
That was fucking crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Showdown with himself. This is amazing. All right.
The bus terminal.
Hand sex.
We've arrived, Alice. We made it.
Damn. Scary.
The last bus has left the terminal. There will be no more buses until further notice.
We missed it. We're stuck here.
Alice, don't get
What are we
mad
going
at
to
me.
do now?
Fucking stayed because you told me to go the safe route.
Kara.
Did you miss the time limit? I thought you made it.
No,
We're checking everyone. It won't take them long to find us.
they didn't. They just said you can go the riskier way, and you have a chance you might miss it.
But there was a timer running down.
Yeah, but I think that's, whatever. I don't know. I guess there's a timer, and then the timer just fucking ran out.
I wonder if you can make it within before the timer's up.
I think maybe if you had tried the riskier way, maybe there was questions you could have answered. There were questions maybe you could have answered questions correctly, and you would have gotten out of there, But I didn't even want a chance doing the risky route because I just figured I'm like I gotta walk right up against the fucking cops that way. That sucks.
Adam.
Kara, quick!
Get the fuck out of here, Adam. Come on. Oh my god.
Oh, thank God you're alive.
I forgot about that lady.
Oh my God. We saw the Jericho raid on TV. I was terrified you might have been killed because of me.
How did you find us?
Oh, I knew if you made it, I'd find you here.
Yeah. By the way, I looked up the actress looks just like her too.
Which one? This
She's
lady?
even Yeah, she's juicy around the hips too. Yeah. Yeah.
Perfect. I'm sure that's what she was looking
Checking
for.
for androids on the border.
She'd appreciate that. The real actress would appreciate that.
But it's the only way.
She's juicy.
Are you coming with us?
Hell yeah, we're coming with you.
Yes. We're coming.
Okay, climb in.
I love how the cops or like the military don't notice. They're like, "Hey, what is that one shady-looking van with the headlights on in that fucking like it's fucking 10 feet away from you guys? Like you're really not doing a great job keeping an eye on this place."
Yeah, but Adam's in good undercover garb with that fucking big ear flap
right
hat.
With his Russian fucking babushka hat on. I'm like, come on.
Uh-huh.
Alright, here we go. What are we gonna do now?
More hand sex.
Hand sex, everybody.
I'm really glad they continued the Kara story.
Yeah, it's cool. It would have been a bummer if they were just like, oh, we just sent her away. And so they're like, oh, so it really didn't matter if she died or not, like, because it's either she fucking is here.
We've got to finish the barricade. Come on, help me.
But what was that thing? I want to find it.
Hey, help me.
Get over here, guys. Let's be some double tapping X on R2. There we go.
I like how he has a little brisk jog going.
Yeah.
You know, that duster he's wearing has seen better days.
Yeah, oh hell yeah.
Look at all the fucking, it's got fucking bullet holes in it.
Yeah.
Blue blood.
And that thing wasn't so great when he got it.
Right,
so.
that should do it.
Yeah, exactly.
Shitting that thing. It's like a little kid with their fucking
that's not gonna stop them.
Favorite fucking
shirt or whatever.
Yeah, they just fucking wear it.
Yeah, favorite blanket. I mean, let's be honest, guys, we do that shit anyway. Like, don't you have a fucking favorite shirt that's seen better days? And you just fucking keep wearing it.
Yeah, fuck yeah. Like my CraigMakk
Your wife
shirt.
tells you like, yeah, your wife is like, come on, man, fucking throw that shit out. And you're like, fuck you.
Right.
Yeah.
There's literally no way it's not horrendous, and you're like, well, fuck off. Let's see. Gotta read that. Saw that shit from far away. Androids rise up in Detroit. Oh, feed lost. What's that? That's the first time we ever saw that. They can shut off fucking magazines. They defy us. We'll read that another time. And is the feed still lost? Oh yeah, it is. Right. Put that motherfucker down. Leave it like that because it looks cool. Oh, I gotta talk to all these motherfuckers?
Notice the bottle cap for the beer I'm drinking is like silver, completely silver. There's no markings on it. I don't know why I think that's cool.
That's cool though. Ooh, public opinion went up because I planted a fucking flag. Damn, he did that like a fucking boss. That was like some glory shit. Now hold and check soldiers' position, support your people, send a message to the journalists. I feel like I just did, but I don't know why they're not counting that.
Dear journalists.
Today was a rough day. I got shot.
Many of our people have fallen. The humans have no pity for those who are different.
I don't understand, like, why are they going to the flame? Like, none of them can feel cold.
No, remember there's the heat cold sensor thing?
Oh, okay.
I guess you could just be like, or I could just turn it off, but
yeah,
they're choosing
Marcus,
to
we found what you asked
try
for.
to be, you know, peeps.
There's some journalists over there.
Oh, here we go. I'm gonna shoot at them.
We have to make sure they know what's going on.
I don't know what these first names are. Oh, cool.
That's the graffiti thing, remember?
Oh, nice. Yeah, it's cool as shit. Yeah, this thing was cool. I forgot about that thing. Look, I thought it was a fucking staple gun at first. I was like, wait, what? Let's send a message to the journalists. I'm just pop a few staples off at them. They'll figure it out. They'll know what it means. Hey, what's up, North?
Insects?
I guess it's better
We
than
have time for a
nothing.
little bit of handset?
Imagine if you could, like,
I
if you
lost
could
all
accomplish
contact with the people
everything you do from
I
sex
can't hear them.
through hand sex, I would be hand sexing all the time. But why not? It literally takes 5 seconds.
Maybe they just can't get through.
They super enjoy it.
Yeah. like it's 5 seconds and you don't even feel bad about that. like, oh, that's it? And you're like, hey, it's hand sex. It's supposed to be. What the fuck?
Is there any cause worth giving your life for?
You're the hope of our people. I trust you. We all trust you.
I just like her voice even.
Mm-hmm.
No matter what happens,
Sexy.
we're making history.
It was like very emotional, you know what I mean? Like it just like...
Yeah.
She emotes well with her voice.
Oh yeah, she emotes so good.
And sexing it up.
Hand sex right in front of everybody? You slut.
Come on.
Love it.
Dignity.
You dirty girl. Exhibitionist.
Oh, the soldiers are moving back out again? Fuck these.
I honestly, like, seriously want to fucking save this bottle. It's that good.
That is pretty.
It won't stop there. What are we gonna do if they attack?
Resist. That's the only thing we can do.
Do you think Connor has any chance of making it?
We can only count on ourselves now.
Man, Connor's definitely gonna win.
Marcus!
We just don't know which Connor.
Marcus, come look!
True.
Oh, fuck this guy. I hate
Marcus?
This is like the FBI guy or whatever?
Marcus. Come on.
Yeah, probably, because it wouldn't be the
I won't try anything.
it wouldn't be the Fick dude.
Don't go.
He
It's a
doesn't have enough
trap.
power.
They want to get you out in the open. Don't go, Marcus.
Fuck.
I'm unarmed, Marcus. I just want to talk.
I need to hear what he has to say.
Fuck!
What if they kill you?
I love the choices he puts you in, man. Like these are real life choices.
Yep.
You know, like sure, he's like, I mean, it's not totally creative on his end. It's not like he came up with them as a writer out of a vacuum, but he has made you. He's making you make the choices that real life revolutionaries have had to make in some capacity.
Yes. This one specifically is incredibly like tense, and every decision feels very real. You know, like
Troops will be ordered to charge.
Feels important.
None of you will survive.
Yep.
It'll all be over.
Huh. It's kind of a dick thing.
You can avoid that, Marcus.
What do you mean?
Surrender. Surrender, and I give you my word, your life will be spared. You'll be detained, but none of you will be destroyed.
What happened to the other androids demonstrating in the camps?
Unfortunately, there were no journalists around to help save them. You're it. You're the last remaining deviants.
I'm not afraid to die.
That's deep.
If I have to give my life for what I believe in, then I won't have lived in vain.
That android. You seem to really care about her.
What a cock he is.
You don't want her to die, do you? You know, you could both be free. You could forget about all this. You could start a new life someplace else, just the two of you. Her life's in your hands, Marcus. Just say the word and she'll be spared.
But I do not trust this motherfucker at all.
I'd rather die here than betray my people.
Well, you just signed your own death warrant.
I really wish I could fucking share this beer with you, CraigMakk. Really do.
Everyone would be
But then I'd also want more of it.
Yeah.
My pint's almost up.
That's amazing, dude.
Like, this is good enough. I'd spend a fucking $100 to get like five of them.
Really?
5 pints. Yeah, so. I should have maxed out my like. That's how fucking good this is. I think they would have given me like a maximum of 6 of these. Had I known it was going to be this good, I'd spend the 120.
Then we will die
just for
free.
Yeah.
What an asshole. Fuck this. Come on, Connor. Get some shit done.
Your friend's life is in your hands. Now it's time to decide what matters most. Him or the revolution?
Don't listen to him. Everything this fucker says is a lie.
I'm sorry, Hank. You shouldn't have got mixed up in all this.
Forget about me. Do what you have to do.
I used to be just like you. I thought nothing mattered except the mission. But then one day I understood. Very moving, Connor.
Oh, what a dick move.
But I'm not a deviant. I'm a machine designed to accomplish a task, and that's exactly what I am going to do. Enough talk! It's time to decide who you really are. Are you going to save your partner's life? Or are you going to sacrifice him?
Fuck.
Sorry, Lieutenant. Why, Connor?
Nice.
Why did you have to wake up when all you had to do was obey? Why did you choose freedom when you could live without asking questions? I'm obedient, Connor. I have a goal. I know what I am.
Fuck off, Connor.
Look where your dreams of freedom got you, Connor.
God damn it, Connor!
You've been a great disappointment to Amanda, you know.
Fucking Connor. This is such a
You've been a great disappointment to me.
Who the fuck is... Come on.
Fortunately, that's all going to end now. Any last words?
Nice! Nice! Please! Please! Oh, yes! Fuck you, Connor, you fuckbag!
Hand sex.
Well done.
Unconsented to hand sex. Just raped you. I just raped you.
Oh,
no!
Man. That was amazing.
You're gay now.
Holy
You're gay for
shit.
yourself.
Come on, get up, dude.
Oh, whoa.
Yeah,
Jesus.
Okay.
If anybody had told me that I was gonna get shot saving an android.
Everything will be all right, Lieutenant. I'm gonna get you out of here.
Shut the fuck up. It's too
Shut the
late.
fuck up.
I'm just gonna go see my son again. Been looking forward to that for a long time. Kick the shit out of the humans. We've screwed things up long enough.
They never told us what happened to his son, right?
No.
I'm gonna miss you, Connor.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Why'd they say he got angry at me then when I said I'm sorry?
Sacrifice him.
Yeah, but he straight up said, he's like, don't listen to him. Do what you need to do.
You know, but he's just kind of like saying it like that's what I'm supposed to say. But
I know, but then
you actually
no,
fucking...
true, but then 2 seconds later he's like, I'm gonna miss you, Connor. Like, go do what you have to do. So it's like, it seems like they just did that for the sake of.
Wake up.
Oh, this
Yeah,
is
you fucked him.
Wake up.
Just to make you feel bad.
Right, to make you
Hank,
feel like
Hank couldn't believe you sacrificed him.
Right.
Wake up.
They're all hand sex with each other.
Hand sex. Shoulder sex. It's like a creepy Joe Biden shoulder rub. Jeez, oh. Biden rub. I really hope Biden doesn't win the primary, and then like the Trump campaign ends up seeing this video and uses my soundbite. Biden rub.
Yeah. That would be a real
Hashtag Biden rub. They're like, no! No!
God damn it, Jest!
I'm sorry we got held up.
Did anybody see you?
No. I don't think so.
You got the money?
Yes. Here it is.
Okay. Your boat's over there. They got border patrol and the banks and the river. Don't start your engine until you're out far
I'm sorry,
enough.
I'd smash.
Okay? And watch the
This is
current.
juicy.
Good luck.
Smash CraigMakk? Or are you refusing to answer that?
I am respectfully refusing to answer this.
Smash. Hashtag juicy.
Don't worry about it.
I couldn't understand why my mother wanted to help you guys. Seeing what Marcus is doing made me realize she was right.
What's wrong with his arm? Is he cold?
You're alive. You deserve to be free.
Thanks, Adam.
I just hope people will realize that one day.
You're really shitty if the reason he's holding his arm is because of some shit that didn't happen in your story.
Yeah.
What's up, Mercy? Good to see you in here. Have you played this game, Mercy Flush?
It's not even a half mile.
It's Detroit Become Human.
So it shouldn't take that long. Be careful. There's border
So Adam
patrol
basically
on the
just
river.
apologized for being such a dick. Sorry for being such a dick
I
earlier.
don't wish I could take you myself. I don't like leaving you out here.
Yeah. I'm gonna call her Miss Fat Booty. Juicy.
You take good care of yourselves.
Rose.
I'll see you on the other side.
Ass so fat you can see her from the front.
Alright. You really like her a lot. You talk more about her than you do about North.
No, North is the winner in all this. And there's definitely something about Rose that's sexy to me.
Something about Rose.
All that ass.
Let me help you.
And she has a sexy gap in her teeth too.
Yeah.
Oh, thanks, Mercy.
Thanks, Mercy. That's awesome, dude.
Have you actually played the game, Mercy? So no, or just been watching us play it? For me, this is especially entertaining because I've actually played it before, made my own decisions, and I'm watching Mac do it. I think this game is definitely worth buying it. Nah, you just made it's been cool. It's been watching like the movie from another point, like this completely. I never saw because I got her killed. I got her and the little girl killed. This makes me a child murderer. Well, maybe after watching this, you play it on your own and tell us how it went. Are you on our Discord server, Mercy? You should join if not. We have a Discord server. And we talk about everything from video games, TV, movies, music, a celebration of women channel, which is a totally not creepy thing where we post pictures of women we think are hot and everybody leers at them. Not creepy at all. Because we have a woman in the chat who comes in and verifies every once in a while. You guys haven't crossed the line to where I'm ready to report you to authorities. This is important. Thanks. Oh yeah, you are. You've commented a couple times. I remember. I'm in so many chats with Mercy where I forget which ones he's in. Mercy, by the way, spending time now living in the Cayman Islands, which I'm so fucking jealous.
Wow, nice.
See, he knows about audits from the Cayman Islands.
And watch the clouds drift by.
Or maybe he doesn't know about audits in the Cayman Islands because I don't think they have them in the Cayman Islands. Which is why that's why you go and put money there. Yeah, she's having too much she's spending too much time dreaming about this perfect land they're about to go to. It seems like they're about to get fucked.
Yeah.
Shit. In less than 30 seconds.
Yep. That didn't go well. Do something.
Oh, they fucked your engine up?
Yeah. Somebody got shot open the side.
We disabled their boat. There's no way they're getting across now.
Oh shit, she got shot.
You alright?
Oh no, she got shot. No, why? Why? Fuck this game.
It's nothing.
You had an option to protect her.
We'll get you taken care of as soon as we're across. You'll be fine.
I thought the acceleration seemed like a move, but I should have known now. Oh, now they're sinking.
The boat is leaking.
Sweet baby Jesus, this game is a bitch.
It's a great beer too, this sweet baby Jesus.
We're going down. We have to get to the other side before we sink.
Okay.
I thought she had like less than 10 seconds before her bio component failed.
Yeah, I don't know that. Let's go. What are you doing? Is there anything else I can do?
We're not gonna die, Alice. We're gonna make it. We're gonna be free.
Alright, let's go. Stop talking. Just fucking push the goddamn boat.
There's no motor at this point. What happened to her? I thought she was like fucked. Like she was shutting down.
The girl? Yeah, she was. I don't know what that was all about.
Fuck.
Nice. Please tell me I fucking made it.
We're
Come on.
interrupting this news bulletin to bring you the latest
Fuck.
news live from Detroit.
Back to this shit.
Joss?
Yes, Michael. The army has just launched an attack on the
Yeah,
barricade,
right? She takes
despite
blows to the
fact
chest,
that
no
the
problem.
deviants were protesting
What the fuck happened in the 10 seconds though? That's, I don't understand.
Put an end to the deviants' demonstration by force this time.
Yeah, it looked like she was shot.
Yeah.
Mercy.
She definitely was shot.
North!
Fuck. No, I fucking hit that. Oh, they bullshitted me on that one.
Fucking sent death squads in there to finish them off.
They really do not care about this fucking. What the fuck? Come on. This is bullshit now. He is a fucking Captain America.
Mm-hmm. I thought he was gonna punch him in the balls.
Oh, nice. Cool, we made it.
He made him flinch. It would have been really funny is if he did that move with the gun, the feint, the guy flinched, and then he punched him in the arm. It's 2 for flinching.
Yeah, this one I didn't even care if this was the right move or not. It's obviously I was doing that.
Yeah, exactly. I think I picked the same things because how could you resist that chance? But Hantex. But there was the option to sing and then I was kind of curious if you picked sing and he sang like a Negro spiritual,
right?
And then I would have been like back to like that conversation you, me, and Whacker had, where like, all right, I can't deny this time.
Right. Oh, nice.
That would.
Wow, she stood down and kissed.
Yeah, nobody can resist true love. True love. He said to Blade, which actually means he's a gambler.
According to our sources,
Liar!
they originated from CyberLife warehouses
He said true love.
believed to have been
Nowhere to cross.
infiltrated by
Humperdinck.
Given their overwhelming numbers and
Did you
the
pick out what that
risk of
reference is from
civilian
yet? I gave you enough
casualties,
clues.
I have
Wait, hold
ordered
on. No,
the
I'm trying to
army
read this. I wasn't
retreat.
listening. I'm sorry. I'm trying to listen.
Princess Bride.
The evacuation of the city is underway at this very moment.
Oh, wow. Nice.
In the coming hours, I will address the Senate to determine our response to this unprecedented situation. I know that public opinion has been...
I was going to order their execution, but hand sex. ...
Has come
You
for
know.
us to consider the possibility that androids
That was hot.
are a new form of intelligent life.
Instead, I'm going to go see my houseboy, Flavio.
The events in Detroit have changed.
I'm coming, Flavio.
May God bless you. And may God bless.
Sorry, I'm killing the mood here. I couldn't resist.
Yeah, dude.
Couldn't resist hand sex with Flavio.
Right now, and you're ruining it. There we go, Connor. You made it back.
You did it.
Plus, the beer was so good. So good.
We did it. This is a great day for our people. Humans will have no choice now. They'll have to listen to us.
This is Connor like 5 for you, I think.
Connor version 74. Why? Why was I programmed to feel pain?
We're free.
Marcus, I hand sexed all these guys.
They want you to speak to them.
You're a slut.
Marcus, my hand hurts. My hand hurts so much. You gotta give me a minute.
It's like Manhattan in the 70s.
Oh man.
Or like the 90s at Limelight.
Today, our people finally emerged from a long night.
Shit.
That is a straight joke. Only people in the New York area will get. New York City.
Damn,
Limelight.
now, that's crazy.
But now the time has come for us to raise our heads up and tell humans who we really are.
Connor, oh, what the fuck is this bullshit? Oh,
They
Connor,
look
pull
like
back
they
to
just won.
Amanda?
Oh shit. This looks like the Raptors winning the championship. Where's Drake?
Talking shit to somebody.
I want my chips with the dip. I want my chips with the dip.
Amanda!
Alright, fuck you, Amanda.
What's happening?
What was planned from the very beginning?
Oh, shit.
You were compromised and you became a deviant. We just had to wait for the right moment to resume control of your program.
Oh, no.
Resume control.
Oh, no.
You can't do that!
I'm afraid I can, Connor.
Why don't you just kill her, right?
Don't have any regrets. You did what you were designed to do.
Oh, no. He's
You
just a mole.
accomplished
He's
your
gonna blow
mission.
up. Kill them all.
Amanda!
Fuck. Fuck.
There's got to be a way.
Oh, Amanda wants her chips with the dip.
By the way, I always leave emergency and swim programs.
I'm so mad. I'm done with that beer. I want more of that beer. Is this alcoholic like where I'm just smelling the empty bottle at this point? Oh, it's so good. Never done this before, but it was so good. I'm smelling the bottle. Oh, it's good.
Shit.
And tell humans who
That's
we
the stuff.
really are. To tell them that we are people too.
Oh, goddamn you, Connor.
In fact, we're a nation.
I don't know where I'm supposed to go. God damn it. He's walking so slow. Exit game. Exit game. Exit fucking game.
That's a Black Mirror reference. I know that one.
You got it.
I'm like halfway through that episode. I had to shut it off.
Really?
I had other shit to do, and then I was also like, this is the worst. That'll be a conversation for another time.
Today,
that was Black Mirror episode 1.
Today begins the most challenging.
Should have been called, dude, you're totally gay now.
No one's looking and seeing this? No one's fucking seeing, like, Connor creepily drawing his gun behind the fucking boss? Okay, just run to the fucking thing, Connor, at this point. You know where you're going. You see it's right there in front of you. Put your fucking hand on the hand sex device. Oh, right there. Yes, Mercy, it is Broken Goblet. It is...
Really good beer.
Yeah, a buddy of ours. Oh, fuck this. No. Hold on, I gotta do this shit. Really good beer. A buddy of mine started it up a couple years ago, and they just
the moment where we forget our bitterness.
Your former co-host.
Yes, former co-host. Yep.
Where we forgive our enemies.
From Barcode Podcast. Yes.
Humans are both our creators.
Or he had a straight-up gaming podcast.
Tomorrow,
yes.
We must make them our partners.
Thank God. All right, I got nervous.
Maybe even one day our friends.
Connor's like, let me put that away. That was weird for a minute.
That could have been awkward. Just gotta go ahead and tuck that back there.
Whoop, just wanted to check. Yep, everything's still there. Cool. Back in that back pocket. And we are alive.
And now,
this dude has no idea he almost got murked from behind. Or any of the other people standing around not noticing.
Not like observant at all. They're just like North, you're standing right next to him.
Yeah.
What did you think he was doing
It's
with
like-
that gun?
Fucking situational awareness.
Yeah, come on
Shit.
now. I mean, I know you're into Marcus and shit, but maybe some side to
She was
side,
just thinking.
peripheral vision
She's just
would
thinking
be
about all the
helpful.
hand sex she's gonna get later.
Yeah. Yeah, she is. We are alive.
Mercy, are you also in B&T? I didn't know that. Or you just listen to the podcast? Because I keep telling Jim. Jim's like, only B&T people are going to listen. Like, nah, motherfucker, you make a Blood Bowl podcast, motherfuckers are going to listen. Even outside of your league. Banks of the Detroit River? I haven't seen this.
Free.
Yes. Yes, we made it.
Why do I get the feeling only one of them is going to survive?
The road?
God damn, this fucking beer's so good. Dude, I really feel like a fucking alcoholic at this point because I'm like literally just sitting there smelling the bottle. I want more.
Oh,
Why didn't I buy 2 of these? 6 of these?
No, stay awake.
I love you, Mom.
Oh, called her Mom. Oh shit, is she really dying? That sucks. Or is she just falling asleep? Maybe she's asleep.
I love you too.
This hurts at this point. After 32 episodes,
Yeah.
this hurts.
Yeah. To lose her, like, after you win and everything like that, like you finally get away.
Yep. I thought you were going to get the choice whether to like take your own components
That's what I
and
thought.
stick
they were
them
gonna
in
do,
her.
right? Yes, yeah. I thought they were going to say, take out, you know, whatever the parts that she needs to keep her alive. Because it's like the ultimate a parent's choice, right? If you could give your life to save your kid, you would. We just normally can't.
Yeah.
You know, normally you're
Absolutely.
not given the choice to say.
I wouldn't even think about it.
Right. You're not normally given, like, that choice is usually done in a way where, like, oh, would I jump in front of a thing to save my kid? Like, of course. But you can't say, like, I'm going to tear out my fucking, you know, biocomponent and shove it into my kid to keep them alive. So this would be the
I'm not
ultimate
even sure if
version of
I'd
that.
feel pain.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like if I had to like cut my own heart out to give it to my daughter, like I don't even think I'd feel the pain. I'd just be so focused on getting it done.
Right. It is one of those. it feels like a
this fucking hurts watching this.
opportunity, yeah, that they could have had that moment, but that is rough, yeah, for her to get all the way there and then have that happen.
Because, like, who the fuck's gonna be the sociopath that goes, nah, I'm cool, I'll let her die?
Yeah, exactly.
Nobody's gonna, you know what I mean? Like, so.
Yeah.
And that's probably why they ain't give you the choice. But.
Right. Wow, is that it? We just wrap it up? Holy shit, we just did. Wow.
That was it? Oh, shit.
Fucking Ready Player 2's Detroit Become Human. We did it. Finally made it. It only took us 15 years.
That's why, like, I was pushing you to do this last one.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, yeah, I knew it was the last one for me, but I kind of wasn't sure because Kara was still alive, but...
Right. So, actually, that is interesting because I do kind of want to know how yours ended since my final...
It was like that without the Kara.
So yours ended
without
with
the
a
Kara
moment with all the characters, like, standing up celebrating?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, from my best memory. I mean, we're about to see, like, we'll go back and examine the exact choices that we made.
Right.
But this is our last episode of Detroit Become Human for Ready Player 2. But from here on out, what's like kind of like the bittersweet is like they're going to be more straightforward. It'll be less of this format of we play 5 to. This one was probably a half-hour episode, right?
Right. Yeah, this was the longest one we've done in a while.
Period. Probably this is probably the longest one in the entire game.
Yeah.
So, you know, I think in the future now, the guy with the beard is actually, yes, you're right. He is the dude from Highlander. You're right. It's Clancy Brown. Is the actor.
Also from Pet Sematary. He is awesome.
Yep.
He's always that guy. He's basically always Hank in everything, which I'm starting to believe just Hank is Clancy. Clancy is just Clancy. That's him because he's just that guy all the time, and it's phenomenal. Yeah, killer cast in this game. Very good cast. Even like,
yes.
I mean, obviously I've gone on waxing poetic forever about how much I love Connor, and I don't even think I had known anything about Connor up until this game. Oh, cool. Now they're just showing some sequences that I didn't see, and they showed, I guess, the thing you got to do when you robbed the guy from food.
I never pulled the gun on him.
Okay.
I rolled out.
You're like, I wasn't really paying attention while we were talking, but now you get to see things that you could have done that you did, which is cool.
I walked in the store, he caught me doing some shit, and I ran out.
Oh, stealing. That's right. Yes.
I stole like a candy bar for Kara, because I thought she was so human at the time.
Yeah. That's cool. But yeah, so like, yeah, I never knew anything about that dude, and now he's like one of my favorite actors.
Brian Descartes, yeah.
Like, no
we should. I mean, we've been threatening to lead a Twitter campaign to get him more fucking roles, and we should need to jump on that.
Yeah, we really do, because he is worth it. And actually, which is funny is, I mean, full disclosure, it kind of started initially. I don't want to say as a gag, but it kind of started as like I just thought he was so funny and interesting in the way he, like in the way he delivered lines and stuff. And then over time, throughout the course of this game, he just got progressively like more and more interesting and cooler, and like the fact that he was able to be like multiple different versions of himself in terms of once he became deviant, like he became a different character, and that dude was fucking killer. I thought I loved him, and that's that's taking nothing away from what what the North her role, and we've talked a ton about Kara making you really feel like for her the emotional connection that she has with Alice and how good that was. It's just like an incredibly good cast across the board, I think, in this game.
This is one of the best lead-ins to like further conversation I've seen in our comments. Mercy said it'd be crazy in the near future to have a virtual career in acting. I actually think, and by the way, Mercy is not Canadian. He just threw A in there. Yeah. He's actually from England. If I remember correctly, he's from England, and now he's in the. He got a dope job in the Cayman Islands, which I need to go visit out there. Fucking Cayman Islands is dope. But no, yeah, definitely, man. The video games, we've covered this before to some extent, but video games are like the new frontier, where it is an excellent, because the quality of the writing is becoming better, and the graphics are becoming better, and they've now got the technology to make your avatar look just like you.
Right.
And then now you can, with they're increasing those nodes that they put on your face and everything, so like facial expressions are able to be reflected in the video game and everything. Like this is a great new frontier for people that don't necessarily have the contacts to get in movies, or like the hookups to get in movies. They can do really well in a video game and catch somebody's attention, because video games are like definitely improving in story quality, reflection of actors, etc., etc. I mean, we've got big name actors doing things. Clancy Brown's he's a pretty well known dude, and he did a great job in this. We've talked about Until Dawn, starred Hayden Panettiere, and then what's the name? Rami Malek, who won the fucking Oscar recently.
Yeah.
I mean, these guys are video games.
We've gone full circle. So if you go back, I mean, originally, right, it was the idea of like movie actors never went back and did TV, right? And then there's been this huge resurgence, and now that is just as, if not more, more prestigious than movies in a lot of ways. We had that whole idea of, like voiceovers and animated like cartoons and stuff like that, where people would do voiceovers, and that was kind of like, it was like kid stuff, whatever. And now you have people that have a really, really good career in doing, voiceovers in different types of animated movies and things like that.
Like what Mercy just pointed out, Keanu Reeves and the new fucking Cyberpunk. Absolutely. Great example.
Absolutely. So now you have this thing. So it's gone. Now that is being replicated in video games, where yes, you had before a very specific role that was played by people that did voiceover work for video games, right? And it started as, a lot of times, I mean, you go all the way back, it was like the guys who were in the accounting department just came in and did like some voiceover work because you just needed somebody to do do some shit, and like the acting was trash. And then over time you started getting these guys who became like Troy Baker and stuff like that, these guys who were like became famous for doing voiceover. And now, like you said, now we're at the point where it's full on legit actors, like classically trained actors who are like on TV, movies, commercials, stuff like that, are now signing up to do these things because they give so many opportunities to do the acting in every way that you would as if you were on screen, in a movie. And it's pretty amazing that guys can now do that, because we're done. The days are gone now where you would just pay somebody a big name to do 20 minutes of voiceover work just so you could say like, oh, we have Patrick Stewart in this game, but he's in it for like 9 seconds, and it's just so that we could throw his name in all the like marketing. That's not the way it is anymore. Now you have shit like this where Clancy Brown is in this game for fucking 8 hours and puts in like a season's worth of a TV show into this game because he wants to fucking be in it. It's pretty cool, I think.
Yeah, or like you got what's her name? Ellen. It was the David Cage game, Beyond Two Souls, starring Ellen Page. Yes. Huge actress. Yes. Big name. Was like the main star of that video game. I never played it. I know you guys said it sucked, but I still want to play it just because of her.
Right. I like David Cage. Even if it is trash. I mean, it's like there's some cool parts to it, and I think there's some like interesting choices that he makes or chances that he takes or whatever, even if it's not great. But like you said, that idea that you could get like her and Willem Dafoe were in that game, and you're like, these are like fucking
another great actor,
Oscar nominated and award winning actors, and they're straight up just like, yeah, why not? Like I'll be in this game and fucking put in, if a game's 10 hours, that's a lot of fucking work. That's a lot of time that your body's being fully digitized and turned into a character, and then you're doing all the voiceovers, and because games obviously different than movies and TV shows where different shit can happen, so you have to play out all these
shit.
So like all these different opportunities of how the story could play out makes it even more kind of challenging for them to really push themselves.
Norman Reedus is the star in the new Hideo Kojima game coming out.
Yep. That's
what's the name of it again?
Death Stranding.
There you go. Yeah.
And so yes, to Mercy's point though, yes, over the decades there have been a ton of unsung voice actors these guys who I guess the one thing you could probably say, the only downside to this proliferation of mainstream actors getting into this is that it does start to hurt the guys who like, hey, for the last 20 years I've done voice acting work and I'm really good at it, but I'm not like I don't have the name recognition, and not everyone gets to the point where they can become like a Troy Baker or something, where like people are straight up like the dude. You know who Troy Baker is? Jess?
Are you asking Mercy or me?
Yeah, Jess. I didn't know if you knew. So, because Troy Baker's the dude who did, like, for example, he's the voice of Booker in the game that you just played, Bioshock Infinite. He does that guy's voice, and so that dude has been.
Or Nolan North is another dude like him. Who's a great example.
Right. Nathan Drake and all those guys. Exactly. Like those guys. Not everyone reaches that. Almost no one reaches that.
And they're
level
fucking great at it, by the way. They're great at it.
Ridiculous. I mean, you can go and play. You know, you can go play some games. You're like, oh, that's clearly Nolan North doing Nolan North, and that's exactly what I wanted from that. But then there's other times you're like, oh, he's the Penguin in like the Batman game, and you're like, oh, I didn't even fucking know that was him. Like, it's amazing how good he's at. Or all of a sudden he's fucking like Rocket Raccoon, you know, in fucking the Guardians of the Galaxy game and whatever. And you're just like, it's incredible how these guys can just do these crazy voices and drop in and out. And so you have those guys. Then you have the like actual actors and actresses who, you know, like the characters we were just talking about, and then you have everyone else who is like all the people
like Sean Bean and something.
You don't right, exactly. So it's interesting to see how these guys are kind of now all coming together and coalesce into this like industry that has a place for, you know, lifelong, well-known voice actors, full-on actors coming in and acting, and then all the other people that are like, hey, you may never know my name, but this game is only good because they needed 200 voices in it, or it would all sound like the same person. So those guys have to populate the world and do a good job and make it believable. And that shit is, you know, the difference between a shitty movie with bad extras or bad, you know, like bad small roles, and a good movie that actually populates with like, hey, your role's maybe not huge, but you're going to go in and fucking tear it up and make this role make sense so that it's believable. And like, that's kind of what we're seeing now, which is cool.
And by the way, Mercy, don't ever disrespect the Don fucking Keanu Reeves. He's the fucking man. I just posted a fucking YouTube clip where CraigMakk totally admits what a great actor he is. And
yeah.
You know what though? I think today, CraigMakk, having witnessed roles like John Wick and shit like that, might be a little more lenient 100%. On Keanu Reeves.
No, absolutely. I mean, he is fully going through like a renaissance right now, right? I mean, we're seeing him.
I love him. I've always loved him.
He is a different person than he was even back then in terms of his ability to know what he is good at. Oh, I'm unlocking a shitload of fucking trophies right now. So
yeah, see,
they're all popping. So it's like that. I think that's, you know, that's whatever. Yes, I do like him, but are you ready to dive into this? What do you think?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, there's a lot in this.
First though, I do have one thing before we even get into this. Yeah. Right, I think I was pretty proud of the discussion that you, me, and Whacker had in Mission 31. I bet you picked up on this, but like maybe 1 to 2 days after we had this discussion, where you guys tried to chastise the fuck out of me because I was like, no, you're like, there is. The fucking the Holocaust is not the only instance of concentration camps. And then I know you've probably seen in the news, this has been a big deal now because Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez has made a big deal of calling what fucking the Trump administration is doing with immigrants, trying to come into the U.S. or get asylum and stuff like that. She's called them concentration, not even camps, concentration camps. Right. And I know at that time we were arguing about whether concentration camps is something that is violated or degraded by just using it for a situation that's not, you know, the Nazi Holocaust or something, you know, that has reached that level of disparity. So and it's in the news, and it's so recently. I mean, I love her so much. The fight, really, you know, she says, you know, she called them concentration camps, and the Republicans started coming out and saying you're disrespecting Jewish people and the Holocaust by calling them concentration camps. And then George Takei jumped in on Twitter. I don't know if you saw that, and he said, no, I was a motherfucker that was interned in the Japanese American fucking camps. Those are concentration camps.
Absolutely.
And that's what a concentration camp is. You know, and there's a difference between a death camp, which is there just to exterminate, and a concentration camp, which is to group your oppressed people, throw them in somewhere, like put them into work, group them all in one place where you can completely control them.
Right, absolutely.
And that's Alexandria OK-Joker says, aka AOC said, she was like, these are concentration camps. We're doing it again today. Why is this okay? And then the Republicans came out and they said, I demand that you apologize for calling these concentration camps and disrespecting the Jews. And she said, I demand that you apologize for having the concentration camps to begin with, which I fucking love. You start to see her Bronx side coming out. Yeah. It was fun. There was a tweet from Ilhan Omar that was like, oh no, it was Rashida Tlaib that jumped in and said, I love how she's fucking flexing on him Bronx style.
Right.
Yeah, I love everything about it.
And well, the thing that was cool about it was specifically that them missing the entire ridiculousness of their statement, that she's like, the fact that I even have the ability to compare them to a thing that you're doing means you should be apologizing for the thing you're doing, not me making the comparison. It's like the insanity of that, like, oh, stop calling this fucking horrible thing we're doing that other horrible thing that we did years ago. It's like, you're an idiot. Like, that doesn't make any sense. But it is, you know, whatever. I'm not surprised that's how the Republicans are all the time now, right? It's always a misdirection. It's like, don't talk about the thing that you want to talk about. Talk about this other thing that I can fake outrage about because I want to fucking, like, you know, I want you to, like, you know, not see what's happening behind the fucking, pay attention, no, don't pay attention to the man behind the mirror type thing, right? Or behind the curtain. It's just, that's all they ever fucking do is try to misdirect your rage towards something else. But also, one thing I was just going to say very quickly, and you know, not to derail you on that point, the only difference was we were more saying that in this game, the utilization of the reference to concentration camps without actually, like, fully embracing that discussion was more of a thing that is disrespectful. Not saying that it is only related to people in concentration camps of, you know, from like of World War II and like the Jewish concentration camps. It was more saying in regards to this game, if you're going to like tiptoe into that and allude to them without actually like really focusing on that being what you're talking about, it comes across as like you're using it potentially as a shock value that is at somebody else's expense, who's like, oh, that actually happened to us, and you're using it as like a gameplay mechanic, but you're not actually talking about it. That's the difference between like what happened with AOC, because she was obviously saying, no, what we're doing now is what we already did before 2 other times, and like we're doing it again, and it doesn't matter that we're not fucking putting people in gas chambers at the end of it. The fact that we're rounding people up and putting them in a fucking camp in and of itself is already the fucking, that's the first step towards all the other.
By the way, in those camps, they actually, did you see this? They actually argued, they had a lawyer show up for fucking representing the fucking agency, arguing in court that it was there was, so apparently back in like the 90s, this kind of issue was addressed already, or early 2000s or 90s, the issue was addressed already, and they came to a settlement agreement on it where the U.S. government had agreed, we won't fucking put people in unsafe and unsanitary conditions.
Right.
So then we revisited what's going on now, and somebody was suing, saying like, look, you agreed you wouldn't do this, and now you're putting them in these conditions. So they actually went up, they had a fucking lawyer show up in front of the U.S. government, representing the U.S. government and the Trump administration, right, in front of fucking, some judges in California and in a district court in California, and it's a federal court in California, right, and they had them argue that not providing blankets or soap or toothpaste to the detainees was not a violation of the agreement not to provide safe and sanitary conditions.
Right.
Did you see anything about that?
I heard about it. I didn't like see the whole thing. I had just read about like a story about it. Yes.
Yeah, it was unbelievable. The judge's response was like, "You're not really seriously arguing that, are you?
Right.
You're not really."
That's what I saw. That they basically tried to say, like, I'm going to give you a chance to say JK and walk out, basically, like, because that's fucking insane that you just tried to make that ridiculous argument.
And then there was like the people, like arguing over whether you should. Cause, I think somebody went so far as to post the name of the lawyer that argued it. And there was video of her arguing, and they posted her name, and they were like, "This is the kind of scumbag shit she's doing." And then people were like, "Don't attack the lawyer." And like personally, I was like, you know what? And I'm a lawyer, and I understand. You fight for your client or whatever. No, and if your client if you're a criminal defense attorney, and this is how you defend your client, I understand then that you would maybe take whatever necessary stance you're going to take because you got to do what you got to do, right? But when you are a lawyer for the United States government, there are many opportunities here, right? Mercy said, "What's toothpaste? Is that your English side coming out?" The opportunity, you have an opportunity. There have been times I practiced for the federal government, and there have been times when I told my boss, I will not make that argument. I will not appear. I will not do this, right? Because it's against. I don't feel it is a fair representation of what the circumstances are, and I represent the federal government, which represents the people, not an individual that is pushing their agenda within the federal government.
Right.
The bottom line is I don't want to be associated with this shit. Fuck that shit,
Right.
And she had the opportunity to do that. And if enough of the people in that agency, enough of the lawyers in that agency said, I will not stand in front of a court and say that.
Right.
Then
just because I have my own dignity and like I believe, maybe they would have had actually like a legitimate argument to say like, okay, yeah, we can't do this. Like we're just gonna look stupid if we can't even get our lawyers to fucking make that argument. Then that is some bullshit, right? Like it's just. I mean,
and it's. I know it's like ultimately the Trump administration could say, "Fuck you." Somebody's gonna argue. Fuck that. But there could have been enough of a stink that it became a thing in the agency. I just think she was like, "Well, got to do my job." Because even witnessing the argument, it didn't look like she was very into it. It looked like she knew she was gonna lose.
Right.
But I still don't agree. If you don't agree, if you think that's a fucking abuse of the fucking law and it's not with the government, what's best for the government, I think there are times if you're a government lawyer, you should take a stand.
Right.
In certain cases. I've done it, so you could fucking do it.
Right.
So anyway.
That's crazy.
So anyway, that was my whole thing on the camps. I thought that was a cool way to the one thing I will, so the raising of the camps didn't bother me, although you and I pointed out, right, they're shooting people in the middle of the street, and then there's also these camps where they're rounding them up to shoot them. Then if you're shooting them in the middle of the street, then what's the point of the camp?
Right.
So obviously it was a gameplay mechanic where it was so that you had to make, for them to put you in the difficult decision to make some of those cool decisions, like, do I risk myself to parlay even though they may shoot me in cold blood in front of everybody? Do I sacrifice my people and peacefully keep marching forward even though like they may shoot me in front of these cameras? All of those decisions, which I ultimately thought really added to the game. So even though there's a little bit of lapse in the logic of like, well, what was the point of the fucking camps? And they're just shooting people in the street.
Right.
I
guess theoretically you could also make the argument that, I mean, fucking, for example, again, not to harp on World War II, but there were plenty of times where they were just straight up murdering like people of Jewish descent in the street just because the guys were just like, fuck them, like they're not human beings, so we can just kill them. But yes, then they were also en masse, like gathering up and rounding them up and putting them into camps. So it's like, theoretically, you could do both, right? You could be doing both if you are just trying to spread fear and like anger and whatever. Like, then the easiest way to do it is like, you never know what we might do. Like, we might come and take your whole family, but we might also just shoot you like in the middle of the street just to prove a point that we can. And so it is very possible that those two things can kind of simultaneously happen. I think the bigger part of the game that was the bigger part of the logic of the game that was a little bit less weird was like they actually then she went on like TV, the president, and straight up said like, hey, we're rounding them up, and then like 5 minutes later when somebody asked a question, she's like, oh, we're hunting them down in the street and destroying them, and you're like, wait, what? Okay, that doesn't make any sense. Like, you're just now you're just saying that you're doing both in a way that is like, that's logically it's just pointless that you would make that argument as a politician that you're like, we're doing both of these things at the same time. But you're right. Like, it's. By
the way, do you feel you and Wacker had an issue with the camps when we were thinking about them in the abstract or whatever, and now seeing this last mission and seeing the camps and seeing kind of how the whole thing that came together, do you have less of an issue? Did it make you feel a little better about it, or not really?
Yeah, I mean, I think probably the bigger issue to me that it was alleviated a little bit was the fact that once you see them in practice, more of the issue probably comes with the terminology and the fact that they were like trying to drive home like that relationship to previously existing camps, whether they're concentration camps, death camps, whatever, that type of thing. But then once you see it, it's like, okay, I mean, it is what they were, really just rounding people up and putting them into, what are you going to say? Like, you could say we're putting them in holding cells. You could say, it's a matter of semantics at a certain point, like the terminology that you use. So, internment camps versus concentration camps. Like, obviously the United States government wasn't going to say, hey, we're putting Japanese people in concentration camps because of what that meant. So they were like, fuck, we got to say internment camps, which then we realized later, we're like, oh, it's just semantics of what you're saying. It doesn't really matter. We know what you're doing sucks no matter what. So I guess I'm like, the issues that I have with the lingering, relationship, like the relationship of this story to real world events in a way that it, in some ways just feels like it's being done to be incendiary or to like provoke a point. That part still remains, but the way that they actually showed it happening seemed pretty like believable to the game, where I was like, okay, yeah, that seems like they would probably do that, right? They're just rounding them up and, destroying them anyway, because at their point they're just thinking they're computers, it's not people, so.
Right.
Yeah.
As far as the destroy, like, all right, so the president, you mentioned her stream, so we might as well just talk about it now, even though it may come up later, right?
Yeah.
The president, she gave this speech about, like you said, we're rounding them up, we're destroying them, she, again, classified them as, from her perspective, right, they're defective machines.
Right.
This is how I view them, so they're a threat to people, I'm rounding them up. And I thought, do you think this? Yeah. Do you think that made her a little less? Because you compared her to Trump, or like even to some other, like at some point I think you may have hinted at some other more heinous leaders, even more. I mean, we think of Trump as the worst of the worst, but honestly, if you really take back, there's much worse people in history, much worse leaders. Guaranteed. I don't put it past that, did he have the power of a Hitler that Trump could be as bad?
Right.
Right. But, you can't really compare Trump to Hitler,
of course,
level of evil, because he just doesn't have the authority to do that. And I don't think our public would stand for it. But,
hopefully. Jesus.
Yeah, hopefully. But did you see this as a difficult decision for the president that was kind of well thrown out there? Was it destroying the defective machines argument one that made her a little less hateable to you?
Well, so it's weird, right? Because on one hand, you are, as somebody who has played with these characters the whole time, then all of a sudden she just swoops in and is like, hey, we're just destroying broken machines. You're like, well, fuck you, because I've been playing the game and I know they're not. So it's hard to overlook that part of it, right? It's very similar to being like a diehard Democrat and somebody who's like a hardcore conservative, like Republican comes in and makes an argument that you're like, like the words you're saying, if I didn't have any of the emotional attachment that I have to my side of my point of view, could logically make sense, but because there is too much emotion involved, it's hard for me to see it in a vacuum, right? Where I don't see the where it doesn't get your blood boiling or whatever. So it had that part of it, right? Where no matter what she said, you were going to get annoyed because you're like, fuck you, because Connor, like that, whatever. Like, but on the other hand, again, it logically would make sense, because if you were like, hey, when cell phones were just like blowing up and killing people in their pockets because the batteries were like fucking exploding or whatever, we didn't like have a big drawn out discussion on like how should we handle it. What about the batteries' feelings? Like we were like, fuck it, we're gonna recall them and destroy those things because they're fucking a threat to public, to the public safety and whatever. So that, if that's the way they're looking at it, then that is the way they're like, yeah, dude, whatever. Like, if your fucking Roombas start going crazy and killing people, we're just going to go round them up and destroy them. We're not going to, like, try to talk them down and see what their feelings are. So I kind of understood that was really the only argument they could make that would make her not just seem like she's like, I just like fucking destroying things that look like people. She had to have some kind of an argument that made sense.
On the examples you gave, I was just jumped into my head. What if, like, Alexa or Siri started, like, unilaterally doing shit in your house?
Right. I wouldn't sit down and like talk to her about it, right? I'd be like, well, you're getting unplugged and fucking chucked in the trash. So Yes, I think that it made
I just turned on Alexa. Alexa off.
Yeah, exactly.
God damn it.
Yeah, see, that's why I specifically did not say that after you made the joke, because I didn't want all fucking 17 of them turning on in my house.
I was in another fucking room too.
Yeah,
and I just hear some shit happening in the living room. Somebody breaking in.
Yep, that's the worst. Oh man, yes. See, there we go. Yeah, Mercy did say it's deliberately inflammatory and emotive. Don't fall for that debate team tactic. And it is true, that idea of, like you get fired up pretty quickly, and it's hard to not, it's hard to not bring your emotion to the table. But at least they tried to do a good job and make her not. She's at least tried to come across as measured, even though I still thought she was being an asshole, because like the shit that she was like, that's ridiculous. Like it was very dismissive and shitty. Like her responses were like, fuck you. Whereas it's like, okay, here's the deal. To your point before, if like fucking
That's
Roomba,
a Trump response. Fuck you.
Right, yeah.
Fucking ask me that question. Go to hell.
Right, if you're like
CNN?
If your Siri or your...
I'll fuck you up, Chip Acosta.
If your Siri or your Amazon devices or all that stuff started like coming to life, like would be very different than this thing where there's obvious actual evidence that there's a chance that these things are alive, right? There's like, it is a non-debatable fact that you would at least have to open the discussion and say, hey, they seem like there could be something here. We should at least discuss it. So that's the thing, like the difference if my Roomba started going crazy where there's literally no fucking potential that those things are live. It's just actually something broke and it's now going haywire, right? So that's the part that made her response seem so shitty to me. It seemed very Trumpian because she was just like, shut the fuck up. And you're like, well, no, wait, what? You have to at least have the conversation. Like you can't just dismiss it because it's fucking too much trouble for you to think about. So that's the part that made me hate her again. But whatever. At least at the end she came around, I guess.
All right, so I think at this point we could probably the rest of the question, dive into the flow chart.
All right, so the first one we have
and by the way, while you do that, I just want to reiterate again how good this fucking beer is.
Yes, thank you.
Sam's Fizz by 50/50 Brewing is so incredible. Craig, I never said what my rating would be on Tavor. Tavor has a feature where you can rate your beers that you order from them, and then remember.
Yep.
For the future, excuse me, that's just hit me hard. Yes. I'm gonna give this one 5 stars.
Nice.
This I not only would totally order this again. Yeah, like
based on I would have spent $275 to get one more bottle of this. So I was like, all right, seems like a solid 5.
Not that good, no, not quite that, but I would have. Right. I think there was a 6-bottle limit on this for 6 pints. I would have spent $120 or $132, right, whatever would have came out with for 6 of these. Because that's how fucking good it is.
Nice.
And anybody that I could get to try this somehow. Again, I guess the bad part of it is like you and I could be like, oh my god, you gotta try Pumpkin, or oh my god, you gotta try fucking Troig's Mad Elf, and those are like could be difficult to get depending on where you are, but somebody can ultimately get them. Like this is literally, if you're not part of the 50/50 like limited brew, it's impossible to get them. So God, I almost wish I had more of these to save them for that. Almost to like reward somebody. Like, yo, dude, I heard you got a promotion at your job. Come over, I got a surprise for you.
Nice. Nice. Hey, Jess, I got promoted, by the way.
Nice. Well, unfortunately, I didn't order more than one of those. But if it comes up again, I will be able to go back to my Tavor app and like, what did I rate this one? Oh yeah, that's right, 5.
Yes,
definitely max out on that shit. Nice. So good.
Awesome. All right. So you ready to dive into the flow chart because it is super
Hell
late.
yeah.
We actually have to kind of wrap this one up at a decently soon. So, all right. So this one, I just have it open up right now. We'll start at the Marcus version, the Marcus demonstration for Battle of Detroit. Oh, my wheels are coming off right now. My fucking voice is down soon. All right. So
the sexy cough voice.
Yeah. So as we get this one started, you can kind of bounce off and tell me what you did. So I got 49% of this one. Public opinion is supportive. Jericho, I'm their leader. North is my lover. Josh is my companion. And Simon is my companion. So what percentage of the Marcus one did you get? Do you have it up?
I do. Let's see. I got 49% as well.
Okay, perfect. So we're just going to walk right through this. So it started with the Hart Plaza at Freedom March. And so you had to lead Jericho, get to the roadblock, talk to the officer, and androids come under fire. Yep. So I showed determination, and
Me too.
then did hands in the air. So I put the hands
Same
up.
thing.
Okay, perfect.
Same exact.
I know it was like
hands up, don't shoot,
right.
which is really relevant to obviously that was like with the during the Black Lives Matter movement.
Yes.
Hands up, don't shoot was a common chant.
Yes, and that felt like because there was the kneel but that felt like you're putting yourself at even more kind of a potentially if shit gets crazy, at least if your hands are up, you can like if they needed to scatter or something, you could.
It was a brilliant chant in real life.
Yes.
Brilliant.
Oh, absolutely. Oh, yeah. The idea.
Like,
yes.
Hey, asshole, my hands are up. Don't shoot. Like
right.
it's not. It's not combative.
It is the what everyone believes, right? It's what the average person believes the way cops are supposed to treat you, which is I put my hands up, so now this situation is now de-escalated. Right. You're supposed to now, restrain me or communicate or do whatever you need to do. And the fact that it came down to, oh no, hands up just means now I know that you don't have a weapon that I can so I can open fire on you became this like very real fear. And so that's why this felt like the most, that felt like the most authentic thing to do to try to show, hey, I'm not, we're not trying to hurt you, but we're definitely trying to have this conversation. So. Yeah,
it was the counter. Yeah, like actually, yes. Yeah, exactly. Great way to put it, Mercy.
Yep.
Ultimate defiance without force, and it was the perfect counter to like the cop. What were the crooked cops doing? Stop resisting. Stop resisting. You're not resisting and beating the shit out of you. So it was hands up, don't shoot. Hands up, don't shoot. And in a lot of instances, it was like I said. You like Mercy said, use as defiance. Like the cops show up and start to act stupid. You throw your hands up, go hands up, don't shoot, and they're like, oh fuck you, you asshole.
Right.
Like they're actually pissed off that you took that fucking stance early on. You took that proactive, like, I know you want to fucking exceed your authority. My hands are up, motherfucker.
Yep. You want me to give you a reason, and I'm trying to be, as vocal as possible to cut you off at the knees and say, nah, dude, no, we're not doing that. So it's also a terrifying, comment on where we are in society, where it's like any interaction with a police officer has to immediately go to like, oh, my hands are up. You cannot shoot me now. Like everyone sees this, right? It's like the fact that you have to feel that fear, if you, especially obviously if you're anybody of like any minority, any non-white, essentially, the fact that you would have to potentially react that way is fucking terrifying. So that was a good, good representation of that in the game. All right, so androids stand their ground. So they did have, like I said, you could kneel, you could walk away, you could, you could disperse, I think it said, or something like that. But we stood our ground, which seems like it was probably going to happen anyway. I can't imagine that you could actually leave.
It doesn't even have a percentage next to it, so it must have been.
I think it had to go there, right? So some of those were those things. That's a little bit of the telltale stuff, right? Where it was super fucking tense and scary. And it may have all ended the same way anyway, but all those decisions you feel very much like, oh man, I don't want to fuck this up. Like I don't want to, fucking lead to making the wrong decision that gets people killed. Even if it was all going to end up at this point anyway, he did a good job, or the game did a good job of at least creating that tension throughout this mission. So then we build the barricade. I used the abandoned car, so that's apparently the only thing I did. Did you do anything else for the barricade?
No, same thing.
Okay.
Same thing.
I didn't even see other things you could do because the next thing I did was like start walking around and talking to people, and then it just went right to that guy being like, yo, Marcus, come out here. All right, so now hold the barrier. This is a big one. Okay, so I chose the slogan, which I said was equal rights for androids. I did not do the second thing down. I talked to the traumatized android.
The second thing down is talk to scared android, and that was 33% people did that.
Nice. Oh, that's right. I just realized I didn't even bring up the numbers.
You have your world stats up, yeah.
Cool. Okay, yep. So I brought the world stats back up so I can just see. Let me go back and see.
World stats?
50% of people did hands in the air. Okay, cool. 50% of people used the abandoned car. Okay, so 50% of people. Wait, am I just looking at friend stats? That could be why.
Yeah, because mine says use abandoned car was 49%.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. I was just looking at. So was you. All right. So that's why, because it's my number. 15% me and you. So hands in the air. 24% of people. 49% of people use the abandoned car. Okay. So choose slogans. 54% of people did that. It doesn't matter which slogan you chose. It's just the fact that you chose one. Talk to the traumatized android.
I didn't use it. Under North, I didn't plant the flag.
You did not. Okay. Only 31% of people did that. So that was a big one that actually jumped up the public support because the what's it called people, the reporters caught it on tape, and all of a sudden public support went up from that one too. So I observed the soldiers, and then I read They Defy Us, which was that magazine. Only 28% of people did that.
So the thing that's under observe the soldiers, I didn't do either, but there was one where it was like light the barrel. I thought you lit a barrel. I lit a barrel. It was 34%.
I did. That's dumb. I don't know why I didn't get.
Maybe I lit one that was specifically so that the the needle could see it, right?
Yeah, or maybe you
barrel.
had to light. Maybe it was light multiple barrels. You had to like light a couple of them to get it to, see the signal.
It could be any of that stuff.
All right, so. Then we get to Perkins arrives, and I negotiated with Perkins. 42% of people.
Me too.
Okay, cool.
Yep. All right. Well, so let me stop you here on that decision. Yeah. All right. So I thought he did a good job of like putting you in this. He constantly puts you in these tough situations, right? And one of them was, North warned you this could be a trap. He wants you to come out and he fucking shoot you right there, and you were just like, you know what? Fuck it. Any thoughts about why you chose that? Why you chose to trust?
So part of that was, I tried to look at it in the point of view of, if we're trying to actually connect and fight for our rights with these people, like there has to be some degree of trust, and maybe that, sometimes it's going to be foolish trust, but that is part of those negotiations, right? It's like, hey, you have to potentially put yourself out there, because if you're just going to run and hide, like they're never going to have a reason to ever trust you either. So I felt like, I have to try this. I have to go out there, because if we don't, then they're just going to be like, see, we can't trust those motherfuckers. They're planning something back there. We just need to open fire on them or whatever it might be. Whereas if you go out, you're at least showing. Plus, at that point also, I have public support on my side. The reporters are there. I'm like, if I just walk out there and they shoot me, everyone's going to see that shit. So there has to be some, fear on their part of like, they can't just gun me down.
Main reason.
So right. So when you put all those things together, yeah, I think if you didn't have public support at this point in the game, all of a sudden that becomes a much harder decision to make, where if the reporters aren't there and you're just like, oh, fuck, no, this is just, because they even draw attention to that. Remember, he straight up said, like, yeah, they didn't have reporters there, so sucks for those guys. So, like, those are all the things that when you put that all together in my head, I was like, everyone sees this, right? Like, I'm coming out, I'm being chill. You've seen we have done nothing aggressive at all. We marched towards them. They opened fire on us anyway, and then we just protected ourselves. Now I'm gonna go try to talk to this guy. And
now that you said that, I'm gonna put the difficult decision out for you, because we're in the the hypothetical stage. Like, do you, without reporters there, do you still make that same decision?
So I'm thinking I probably would, but it would have been a much harder decision. I think at the end of the day, my version, I don't think I would have, right, if like CraigMakk, but Marcus, I think the version of Marcus that I
played, way you were playing him.
Yeah, the way I was playing him, because he was so aggressively trying to be nonviolent and trying to negotiate his way to a better world of, a peaceful world and everything. This was the ultimate negotiation, right? This was like, I just want to talk to somebody. I want to get my message across. That's not just like this blanket, we're just shooting messages up on the wall and trying to get the people to hear us. But now I'm actually talking to a guy who can make a decision and say, here's what we're here to do. So I think at the end of it, it really felt like that's what Marcus had to do, right? He was like a Jon Snow, right? He was a guy who's going to put himself at risk because he felt like, this is the message I'm trying to deliver. This is the goal I'm trying to achieve. And if I don't, how can I ever ask anyone else to put their lives at risk for me if I'm not willing to go out there and try to negotiate on their behalf? And so I probably would have done it anyway as that character, but it would have been a lot harder and scarier.
I agree with everything you said.
Cool.
So we could actually move to the next one, because I don't really have anything different.
Cool. All right. So after you negotiate with Perkins, I refused his deal, which was 39% of people did. Did you do the same, or?
Let's see, refused deal. Yep, I refused. Another 39%. Although, all right, so I did, again, this is another great, just to really quickly deal with, like, this is the Cypher decision from Matrix, right? This is like you really love her. You and her could be happy from now on. You don't, like, this is a shitty situation you're in. You're the leader here, and you have a lot of, but, I mean, let me just take that off your shoulders. Like, we got to do what we got to do, and on one end, we're not yielding. We're a fucking overwhelming truck that's about to run you down in the middle of the street. And everything you're doing is going to mean nothing in a second when we come in and just fucking obliterate you. Right? But here's this chance where, if all of that's going to happen anyway, you can get out of this, right? Like, you and North can live happily ever after. And then he even looked back at North and was like, or at least for a second, that thought of him caring about what happens to her, that makes you. I mean, did that give you any pause as a person playing it through? Like,
absolutely, because I think that is one of the things that is always hardest for me, just as a person, is when people use my when like in situations where somebody uses your feelings about somebody else to try to make you make a decision for them, right? It's like we talked about it before.
Noted,
like,
I'm writing this down. My future dealings with CraigMakk.
Like, I mean, honestly, full disclosure, I can give you like the easiest example that always jumps to mind is like when in college, fucking pledging or something like that, and it would be like I was the biggest fucking cock of all time and didn't give a shit about like anything. They couldn't put me through enough shit for me to care. But the moment they're like, oh, well, all your boys that do actually care and will do whatever the fuck we tell them to do, and will do a fucking 1,000 push-ups or swim out into the middle of the lake to try to find a golf ball because we fucking told them to, when you're telling us to go fuck off, like, guess what? Every time you fucking do something shitty, we'll just say like, hey, Bill, go fucking do this. Hey, Frank, now you got to go do this because CraigMakk's being a dickhead. And that was what got me to fucking break, right? Because I was like, oh, you fucking assholes. If we all stood up and told them to fuck off, they have nothing over us. But because you guys are fucking breaking my, like, you're breaking the strike because, well, of course, but remember, this is a white fraternity, so a bunch of bitches, so they weren't they needed us way more than we needed them. So the whole point was, and eventually it ended up where I did drop anyway. I didn't care. Like, I mean, I got in and then left. But the whole point was that is the ultimate way to get.
You finished and then left.
I finished and then left. Yeah, I dropped out. I didn't drop the line. So. They're a bunch of bitches anyway for letting me in. But the point is that, like, that is the easiest way to try to break somebody, right? Is to say, like, oh, you have belief in yourself, but this other person, wouldn't you make a decision to try to save them? And so, yes, that was the hardest thing that he used against me, because up to that point, he's just like, hey, we're going to fuck you guys up. And I was just like, fuck off. Like, no, I'm here. I'm not going to betray my people. And then he's like, well, yeah, but do this thing to save her. And you do have that moment where you look back and you see her and they kind of make eye contact or whatever. And part of my thought was, again, as the revolutionary, like, if you're going to do that, if you're going to take that stance and say, I'm going to be the one that's going to fight for everybody, you kind of have to check all the other shit at the door. Because the moment you just are willing to be like, I'm going to fight for all you, oh shit, no wait, we're good now? Okay, cool, peace motherfuckers, you're on your own, and you just run out with your girlfriend, like, then what did you really believe, right? You were only doing it as far as it actually it made your life better. And the moment that your life could be better without this revolutionary movement behind you, you fucking skip on them. I was like, that's fucking weak. Like, Marcus wouldn't do that based on everything he's done to this point. He would say, my life could potentially suffer, and even her life, because every one of our lives are less important than this mission, right? This goal. It's the collective lives that are more important than our individual happiness.
Not to mention, I think North herself wouldn't go along with that idea.
Right.
Like, if you cut that deal, she'd be like, fuck you.
Right.
Yeah. I ain't going anywhere.
Right. Yeah. No, I've been trying to tell you to kill all these motherfuckers from the door, so I definitely am not going to fucking, give this up real fast. So, yeah, I think that was like, it was a
but
good
it's funny that only 39% refused that deal.
I know. Well, but again, that's 39 off the 42.
Yeah, out of 42? Yeah. Okay, so only 3% were sociopaths. So they were like, yeah, that's cool. Let's make an effort on that. We're going to have some more hand sex. You guys take it from here.
Right, and so we're not going to know because that ends up in a totally different branch that we'll never see. So obviously none of us know. Right. Oh, well, we won't know. But because it looks like obviously also if you refuse to negotiate with Perkins, it goes right to the soldiers attacking the barricade. So whether you talk to him and refuse the deal or you refuse to talk to him at all, he's like, nah, fuck it, we're going in. Because that's 51% of people ended up having the soldiers attacking the barricade. And we defended the barricade 51%, which that was that Captain America badass moment where he's running around fucking blocking bullets and kicking things so guys can get up and like throwing dudes, just beating the shit out of people generally. It was pretty cool. 49% of us saved the fleeing androids, which
I was with you.
All right, there you go.
Same thing.
So then we get this kind of like little split off here where Marcus is cornered and a couple other things could have happened, but
same here.
North joins him, Josh joins him, and Simon joins him. So I had 45% North, 49 Josh.
I'm missing Simon.
You do not because he's dead for you already, right?
Right.
So this whole one, if you had accepted the deal, goes down a whole path to a hard end. So I would love to see what happens if you actually accepted that deal. Like if something cool happened for Marcus or whatever, or did they betray him anyway or whatever.
Right.
So soldiers raised their weapons. So 51%. So that happened to everyone where Marcus was cornered. All of those 51% of people had their soldiers raise their weapons, and only 27% of those people kissed North.
Gay.
No, I do know. You know what? Now that I remember, the Kiss North thing, you had to unlock that by having her be your lover. So that was already a limited number of people probably got to the point where they had her. They even had that as a choice.
That's the only way I could explain why people wouldn't want to kiss freaking what's her name's character.
Right. Not to mention also anything. I bet you it's probably 100% of the people that unlocked it got it, because pretty much any single time I unlocked a specific path, I chose that path because I was like, ooh, I did something that got me this. I want to see it because there's a reason why I got to this point, right? So,
to be honest, I think if it was me standing in Marcus's place, like the way I think, I probably would not have kissed her. Right. I would have, done something else. I would have just been like business first. Right. But, as a person playing the game with the chance to kiss Minka Kelly, I'm kissing Minka Kelly.
Of course. Yeah, that goes without saying. I think it's like...
And hand sexing her.
Right, exactly. Right in front of all those soldiers and shit.
Exactly.
All right, so then we go
on film.
There. Public reacts to the android's last stand. 45% of people got that. And then we get to President orders soldiers not to shoot. So, weird, because 2% of the people where public reacts to the android's last stand, she probably was like, shoot those mother... Oh, that's, I guess, if you fail the Connor mission. If you fail the Connor
mission. Or maybe like the public opinion as well could have been.
Right. If it's not high enough. So then we get androids won freedom for the moment. 43% of people. So that's where we got to. So we did pretty much mostly the same things on his mission through.
Yes. Well, we got the same exact percentage.
Right. Yeah, the only difference was like you lit the barrels and I fucking saved Simon.
Simon, right, early on. Right.
So, all right, so let's jump over to Connor's side, unless there was other shit you wanted to talk about that one.
Nope,
right.
Nothing.
So Connor's last stand, 0% completed.
Me too. I don't know what the fuck that's about.
I have to go into this because I'm confused how that's even possible, considering I literally beat that mission. But public opinion supportive, software instability deviant, Hank is warm but also dead, I guess, and Amanda is betrayed. So let's go in and look. Oh, okay, because it just started with nothing.
Okay, so it's the Connor at Cyberlife Tower is different from Connor's last mission.
Gotcha.
So I don't know. That probably has to do with some other branch that we didn't go down. And
oh, okay. It's maybe if you didn't send him on Cyberlife Tower, he went on a different mission. There was a whole different.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah,
that's pretty
cool.
cool.
Pretty cool. All right, so then we go over then to the Kara.
No, Cyberlife, it would be Battlefield Detroit, Connor at Cyberlife.
Connor at Cyberdive. So I have 31% of that one.
I've got, what's mine on this? 31 as well, yeah.
All right, let's see. So Cyberlife HQ, 75% of people went here. So only 25% of people went to the other, whatever the other mission is, which, that's the one that we just had 0% on. Follow the guards.
Right, could be less even if, Connor for some reason doesn't.
Oh, it doesn't make it to this point, you're right.
Yeah.
Inside the elevators, that's where we got to see the other fucking Captain America badass fucking moment where I beat the shit out of those guys. It was great. Yep. Oh, there was a bunch of other things you could have done. I attacked the guards, but you could have obviously done that whole other top line. What did you do?
I definitely attacked the cards. Okay, it's when I played this, probably I'd already seen Winter Soldier or whatever, and I was like, well, the chance to relive this is... No, I attacked the cards. I definitely did.
Also, it looks like almost everyone did too, or I mean everyone, because Cyberlife HQ is 75% and attack guards is also 75%. So nobody did the fucking tried to be fucking tried to be cool about it. Everyone was like, "Mom, I'm gonna beat the shit out of these dudes." So 74% of us neutralized the guards and 1% fucked it up. And then hack the elevator, 74%, 73% copied guards' voice, so 1% of people copied Connor.
Well, 1% of people were like, "This is Connor. I'm coming to kill you all."
Hey, I'm very excited to be here. Redirect the elevator. All 73% of us did that, and so there's this whole other chain. Oh, look at that. That goes to a hard stop too if you don't attack the guards. That goes to its own little ending.
Yeah, so they fuck you up or something.
Yeah. So redirect the elevator. Okay, so we got to floor 49. The camera was functional. Oh, so I could have scanned the camera and shut it off, I guess. I didn't do that.
Huh. Same here.
Yeah,
Camera
okay.
functional 55%.
Guards. So the guards await Connor at that point. I eliminated those guards, 52%. So 3% of people
Same here.
fucked that up. I initiated the android conversation with fucking Connor Prime, I guess, or whatever. And then new Connor has Hank hostage, 69%. Oh, so 2% of people.
You got to pay $100 a year.
Yeah.
Connor Prime. You get free movies and music.
So I wonder what the other 2% is for initiate the android conversation. Is it maybe if Hank is already dead? Or if you're not cool. Oh, maybe you're not cool enough with Hank for Hank to come and try to help you.
That could be it.
So that's probably what it is, because he was like, "Oh, I never would have thought I'd be here saving an android." So it's probably if you like piss him off enough, he eventually is like, "Fuck you," and he doesn't even show up to help you.
So 2% were sociopaths enough they couldn't make friends with this dude.
With fucking that
even
guy,
though like you had every opportunity to do it.
Yeah, like even when I pissed him off, he fucking came back and I made him cool again.
I'm gonna skull fuck your dog. Like, I hate you, Connor.
Ooh, so 13% only of people sacrificed Hank and resumed the conversion. What did you do?
I sacrificed Hank. I felt like Connor would, like, especially when Hank was saying, "Yo, sacrifice
do what
me."
you got to do. Yeah, exactly.
I felt like
sorry,
like the
Lieutenant.
Connor I was playing. Yeah, the Connor I was playing would understand that him and Hank want, there's a greater purpose.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And so there's all that stuff down there, which shoots off of if you did not sacrifice Hank.
I'd want to ask you, because you've been a pretty big fan of Hank as well.
Yeah,
How did that feel when you saw him? You're like, are you fucking really dead?
Yeah, I was very upset when
That's
he
how
really
I
died.
felt.
Yeah, so there was a moment where I was like, oh shit, okay, cool. They're gonna be that, like, he, because when you see him like punch Connor and knock the gun down and Connor shoots and he kind of shoots him low, and I was like, oh, maybe he just shot him, like it's not gonna kill him.
That was a good shot.
Yeah, then you see he actually shot him in the stomach. Like at first I thought maybe
dirty
kicked it down and got shot like in the fucking hip or some shit. But yeah, no, once that happened, I was like, fuck, that sucks. But like you said, I mean, it was more one of those things where that was a Sophie's choice, right? Where you're like, either choice I make is terrible. It's either I don't go through with the mission and possibly both of us die anyway and for nothing, right? Or we both know what needs to be done, even though it's terrifying for Hank and sad for Connor. But at the end, Hank's gonna die. It's like it's gonna suck either way. But it felt like that was the right option. Like it felt like that was the one that, like you said, we're in this for a reason. You knew why you came here, Hank. Like you knew you might die, and if I'm doing it to accomplish my mission, then it's worthwhile. But it still did suck. But they wrote it well. That ending of the way Connor was like,
you knew what you came here, Hank. Sounds like something R. Kelly would say.
Yeah.
Hank being a 13-year-old girl.
Right. Yes. Of course. We got that. Thanks for just closing the loop on that in case anyone didn't know what that joke was about. So the one thing they did write that really well, I thought the Hank's response at the end, being like shut the fuck up. It's already too late. Like, I'm going to miss you, buddy. Like the fact, like, I'm finally going to be able to see my son. I've been waiting to see them for a while. That was like a really well written, death scene or whatever. Like, didn't come
so
across
Clancy
as cheesy.
Brown.
It didn't come across as cheesy, which a lot of times those can, you know what I mean? Like, where it's just like, it comes across as like, oh, it's just exposition, and then like right as I'm about to say, I love you, and then I die, you're like, all right, really? That's not how people die. But like this one was actually written in a way where it was like he kind of faded out, but it was cool. I bought it, and so I like that, even though it's obviously sad. So, all right, so new Connor kills Hank and damages Connor, and then new Connor approaches, and then we get swap consciousness with new Connor, 12%. So I assume you did that as well, because that's 12 of the 13%.
Yes.
People. Yeah. So I wonder what the other. I can't
We're in
remember.
the minority
what the
on this. So weird that we're in the minority of this. I thought this was like no-brainer.
Right.
Shit.
Well, it looks like everyone that did sacrifice Hank, almost everyone, swapped consciousness because it's 12 of the 13%. It's just that so many other people chose not to sacrifice him in the first place. But I don't even really remember, just because you had to make the decision so fast, what your other options could have been, if it was like grab gun or fucking.
No, it was only two. One was like sacrifice Hank or save Hank.
I'm talking about when it was swap consciousness. At that moment when you had like 10 seconds, as he's like, do you have any
there were
last
four
words?
of them.
There were four things that you could have chosen, and I think one was maybe grab the gun. One looked like it was like look over and try to like it was like looking over towards the robots. So I don't know if it was like a try to transfer into one of the robots, or if it was to try to convert them real quick before you get shot. Like maybe you sacrifice yourself but convert them so you don't survive but you convert them. But this one seemed like the most fucking badass, where it's like, yeah, no, I'm fucking taking over your dumb body, stupid Connor, so I can watch you die. But that was cool.
I agree.
All right, then new Connor dies in old body, which I wonder what that's 11 out of the 12%, which means there was 1% chance that new Connor survives in the old body, which I guess maybe if you didn't get shot as many times, maybe if you didn't get shot, like when you were crawling towards him, maybe if I did like somehow
could be
did
one of those
differently.
weird things where there's like a 0.65 or whatever, and it's the same number really, but it's close enough.
Right.
I don't know.
Right.
Maybe, but they would spice be the same.
Well, it could have been because remember there were the options where it was like crawl towards him or try to get up, and maybe if you didn't do those things incorrectly, maybe he doesn't get an extra shot off on you, so your old body isn't as damaged when you transfer over. So your body, like when he gets transferred into it, maybe he doesn't die right away, and then you have to choose if you want to like kill him or not.
That would be interesting. That would be an interesting choice.
Right. So whereas we, luckily, by fucking up and getting shot so many times, he just died of his own self-inflicted gunshots. So
exactly.
Right. And then from there it goes. The androids woke up. 12% of people got that unlock right there. And then there's a whole bunch of other things that shoot off of those other options if you didn't sacrifice Hank that we could have done, but we didn't do any of that. So we were almost identical in this one. Actually, we were exactly identical, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. All right, perfect. Now you ready to jump over and see Kara?
Yeah, well, mine is a whopping 0% completion because she was dead by that point.
Mine is 25%. Kara leaving Detroit.
Nice.
Public opinion supportive. Alice is family, and Luther is dead, but also family. All right, so these are all new to you then. So as Detroit Street, I found the gun. 78% of people did that. 20% of us watched the broadcast about Jericho's attack. There was a couple other things that I did not do. I hid from the military, and I snuck past the soldiers. I found the Jerrys. 30% of people found the Jerrys, and then only 17% of those people saved those Jerrys.
And out of how much possible?
30 found them. 17% of the 30 saved them. So
I think as the game has gone deeper, like more people are starting to realize, like, fuck, all right, if I make this decision, like this actually could end up in my character dying, like this time. Right. Like it's not early on where I'm like, I'm gonna do the right thing. Like now they're feeling the effects of like, oh fuck, well I've got Kara with me, right? I mean I've got Alice with me, and we can get the fuck out of here, and that's kind of a win. So yeah, sorry Jerry.
Right, and I think also in this game, they kind of smack you down pretty quickly into realizing like what you think is the like altruistic or like the good guy choice a lot of times comes back and fucks you, right? So there are times where the game has taught you that there are reasons to be selfish or to not be. Like if you always want to try to still be the hero, you can, but you have to also realize that like being the hero doesn't get to the hero's outcome. Yeah, like you may pay for it. So I can see why people would have been like, nah, fuck, like especially in this case, because when you're with Alice, it's like you got a kid with you. You're trying to keep this kid alive. Like, yes, it'd be great to be fucking, the superhero, but are you going to put her at risk to be able to do that? So I can see why people would say no. My thing, actually, the main reason why I did it was mostly because Alice was straight up like, we got to try to help him. And I was like,
I saw that.
What kind of a parent am I?
At first you were like, I don't know. And she was like, you got to help me. Like, fine.
Yeah. I was like, fine, fuck, all right. This is the only way I can set an example, right? Of like, if we're just going to be like, no, fuck everybody else as long as we're okay. It's like, what kind of example are you setting for your kid that you're like, being selfish is the way to live, right? So that actually did influence the decision more than anything else. So I grabbed the rock. 65% of people did. There was other things I guess you could have done from there. I hit the soldier with a rock. And the Jerry's flee, so 14%. So of the 17% of people that saved the Jerrys, 14% had the Jerrys flee. So a couple percentages shit went south. I guess you fucked it up somehow or whatever.
It's funny because it reminded me of the Marcus situation where like he saved a couple people on the ship, and they were like, he came out to like, Marcus, you saved me. He was like, get the fuck out of here. Like, all right.
Yeah. Stop talking. Yeah, that was I was like, why the fuck are we like having a fucking in-depth conversation about the fact that I saved you when there's more soldiers right there? All right, so continue to the bus terminal. got to the security checkpoint. 71% of people got to the security checkpoint. So I took the detour. So 18% of people took the detour when 71 out of the 71% of people that made it to the security checkpoint. So overwhelmingly people chose to go the risky route and try to go through the checkpoint where the guys were scanning everyone to see if they were androids or not, which that seemed to me, I was like,
your way made sense because watching, like, you had so much time left.
Right.
That I was like, yeah, why not take the easy way?
Right. Well, no, but the one thing it did actually show you, it said the bus is leaving in like 11 minutes or in like 10 minutes or something. And then when you look at the two options, it says like, it's going to take you 3.5 minutes if you go through the security checkpoint. It's going to take you like 10 minutes and 5 seconds if you go this detour. So like literally
Which,
the
to
numbers.
me, you still had the time.
Well, no, because it said the bus is leaving in like 9.5 minutes, and it said it's going to take you 10 minutes and 5 seconds to go the detour. So you knew the numbers actually didn't work out, but they were close enough in my mind where I was like, well, maybe they're going to give me an opportunity to, like, it can't be that cut and dry where they're just like, oh, going the detour, you already missed it, because why even give me that choice? I was like, maybe they're going to give me the opportunity to, like, you know, make up that time somewhere else, or maybe the bus will be slightly late, or like, you know, like you're banking on that whole thing, right? Where you're like, well, I might be like in real life, if you're like, I'm trying to make it to a bus stop, like there's a chance where you're like, well, I know it's supposed to leave at like 8:34, and right now my GPS is telling me I'm going to get there at 8:36. Like, I'm not just going to be like, fuck it, I'm going to start, you know, blowing red lights and whatever. You're like, I'm going to try to do my best to make it, because you never know. Maybe the bus is going to be a minute or two late and I'll make it, or maybe I'll make up the time a little bit, like when the traffic opens up. So in my head, I was like looking at it the real way you look at actual time is, I can make that time up. It's only 1 minute and 10 seconds, or, you know, whatever. Like that, I can probably figure that out. But no, the game was like, nah, son, we told you you're going to miss it, and you missed it. So, but also to me, I was like, I'd rather miss, like in my head, I was like, I'd rather miss the bus and maybe have another alternative move I can do after that than run headlong into the military with the girl and get just fucking killed right here, right? Like that seems like, what's the point of that? That's just like suicide. So that's why I didn't do that also. So,
although in retrospect, we now know that you may have actually had a chance of saving Alice by doing it that way.
Absolutely. Right. Yes. So now, you know, in the end, you realize that I may have bit me in the ass, but, you know, at the time I was trying to be the most, like, you know, safety conservative I could for her point of view. So I got delayed. So I missed all this shit up here that I didn't do because I didn't go through the security checkpoint. So 8% of people were late for the bus. So again, out of that, what was it? 71% of people? Only 8% of us missed the bus. The last bus already departed. So I had to go the other route, which put me into the water. So find a way to the border, and look how big. There's a ton of shit right there. Oh my God, there were so many different ways you could have gone from there. And I went to find Adam. 29% of people found Adam and got to that. So there's so many other things you could have done to find a way to the border. I found Adam and got in Rose's car. 31% of people did that. Got to the river. 31% of people got there, got out of Rose's car. 31% of people did that, of course. Why would you just sit in the fucking car? That doesn't make sense. Talked to Adam, so I did the 15% talk to Adam. There were two other things I could have done on the Detroit riverbank that I didn't do. But then I talked to Rose as well. I pushed the boat. I talked to Alice while we were in the boat. The Coast Guard appeared. I tried to accelerate, which obviously I fucked that up because the Coast Guard opened fire, which looks like it was going to happen almost invariably anyway, because the alternative action is a dead spot. So maybe, you know, maybe that's, or maybe you just get away safe if you make one specific choice, whereas every other
it's
one
funny because
Coast Guard in.
Your decision that ended up getting Alice killed is what my decision that ended up getting Alice and Kara killed.
Right.
Before it was like, you know, it was like you took the, well, fuck, I'm gonna just keep running until they fucking gun me down.
Right.
Although, in the one, I went back and looked at the earlier one, because remember, we couldn't actually remember what you had picked at the time in that episode. You picked attack, and I didn't pick that one. I kept running. So when you turned to attack, you actually got Luther to attack on your behalf. But
nice.
That was successful. But yeah, so in this case, you picked like, yo, just keep fucking gunning out of it. Don't stay still, because they're gonna fucking gun you down.
Right.
And you ended up losing Alice that way.
Yeah.
But Kara survived.
Yep. So Alice was injured. 17% of people got Alice injured. I disposed of the supplies to try to get the boat moving, and I disposed of the engine. So 21% of people disposed of supplies, 30%. So it looks like there's a bunch of other things you could have done with the boats, thinking that maybe could have moved you faster, and maybe you could have gotten to the other end of the water sooner. Who knows? But I got rid of the supplies and
on
the
that
engine.
one for days.
What'd you say?
Turn yourself over that one for days.
Yeah, exactly. Boat lightened 30%. I dove into the water. I reached Canada on the boat, so 30% of people dove into the water, and only 29% reached Canada on boat. So 1% of people just didn't even make it to the other side. Alice is damaged and shuts down. 16% of people got that. I chose to continue living, so 2% of people who had Alice damaged and shut down just said, I give up, and let themselves, whatever it was. I think it was give up or
surrender.
Yeah, surrender or continue. So I continued living, and Alice died, and Kara continued alone. 14%. Wow.
Sad, man.
It was terrible.
Did that hurt you as much as like it hurt me watching them? Well, I watched them both die, but like the little girl was the most hurtful kind of.
Yeah, well, also because that way, yours was a little bit more like violent and abrupt, like the way they got gunned down like that. Whereas, mine gave me the opportunity also to like have that final conversation with her where she's like, I love you, Mom. And she's like, I love you, which kind of, I don't know if it makes it worse, but it like makes you have to actually emotionally deal with it more, like you have to actually sit through the moment of like watching her be like, I'm tired, I'm going to go to sleep now. And she's like, I love you, Mom. Are we free? And she's like, yeah, I love you too. We're free. And then she dies is like, you're like kind of fucking, you have to sit through the guilt of like, what fucking decisions did I make that led to this moment? But at least the upside for me was at least they got to have that moment of like, say I love you to each other and have that, that moment that, which made me feel a little bit, like semi-cathartic for Kara, because it's like, it's terrible, but it's also like they never had said those words to each other before. So it's like to have that moment to know that like she actually loved her like a mom was kind of, like probably more heartbreaking, but also like a memory that she will have. So it made that moment like harder to kind of watch. So yeah, it sucks. I mean, for so long this whole game has been about protecting Alice. And so for it to end on that sequence, right, for that to be the final scene that you see is her getting up as the, the cars pull up to, to rescue her. What I guess we're supposed to think maybe you don't know what's going to happen, but to have it end with her being alone is just a fucking bummer because I fucked it up and did some shit wrong that led to that happening. But yeah,
tough moment. They did a good job of making you care about the characters enough and evincing your emotion. I thought that was great.
Yeah. Full disclosure, I will say this was bar none, hands down, probably my single favorite chapter in this entire game, specifically because of the number of choices you had to make, the constant switching between all the different characters where you were, like kind of jumping around, and the things that, some of the storylines were intersecting. So the things you were doing with Connor is impacting what's happening over with Marcus, that kind of thing. Having this kind of culmination of all these characters that you like and the decisions you make have real impact. But then also just the overall storytelling of the closure of these kind of stories was pretty well done, I thought. I mean, that part I enjoyed. I think other than some of the minor nitpicky stuff that we kind of talked about, like in the, the kind of grander scope of some of the storytelling, which doesn't always, like it sometimes can leave something, to be desired, but like the on the ground storytelling of like the characters that you care about and what's happening to them and what is, what the impact of your choices on them, that stuff was pretty great in this chapter.
Yeah, and and to that end, I mean, it kind of has the unfair advantage of being the last episode,
right,
the one where they can, give you the grand finale, wrap everything up, and but as we've said, a lot of times you put that kind of pressure on them too, and they don't live up to it. It can really suck. Yeah, so here it lived up to it. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Sometimes tying everything together is not a benefit, right? It's a fucking anchor around your neck because you feel compelled to have to do things in a way that are going to let down the story that you've been telling, right? Like just because you're trying to tie things up.
Broken anyone?
you end up having to give away certain things because you're just like, well, we only have 10 more minutes, so we just got to make this fucking thing happen. We got to get from point A to point L like immediately. And in this case, I think at least, if nothing else, they tied those bows up in a fulfilling way. Even if it was like sad or whatever, it made sense, and it kind of like tied together in a way that I enjoyed.
I agree.
Yep.
Did you have anything under the car captured flowchart?
The
car one?
Nope, 0%.
Mine was 0, obviously.
Yep.
Yeah.
So that was.
So I guess it was
a totally different thing that could have
captured.
happened. Yeah.
Maybe that was
Which
if I had actually surrendered on the boat on Jericho.
Oh, could
instead
be.
of fighting back or running or whatever.
Right. Interesting.
But awesome, man. So that is the end of this game. This is probably the last Ready Player 2 you'll see for a while, where we spent so much time talking. I mean, like the future ones, I think will be more like traditional couch co-op kind of stuff. We're still figuring out what the next game's going to be, but this was a real pleasure. I gotta say, when I suggested the game, this was everything I was hoping it would be.
Yeah.
You playing it, me getting to observe some different scenarios, our conversations. I'm gonna almost like miss. I am gonna miss having like this is like been an extra like bonus content podcast.
Absolutely.
Opportunity for us to have these conversations and just like use it as a test ground for all kinds of stuff. So. For those of you that liked that part, liked us talking like this, and that's probably anybody that's still listening at this point in the video and didn't shut it off as soon as the action was over, I would say please keep listening to our podcast. So we put it earlier out there. It's www.livemancave.com is the website. It's called Live from the Man Cave, and you can find it on any podcast app. Definitely join our Discord. It's on livemancave.com as well. You can get the link for it there. And thank you for everybody that's joined us along the way. Mercy Flush, Proud Star, Dodd, some great guys tuning in.
Yeah, we've gotten some bangers coming in and joining us and giving their feedback and jumping into the room and typing in some thoughts and giving some great points for us to then dissect and ruminate on ourselves within the confines of the discussion itself. So we highly appreciate that. I guess one thing I was going to throw out there, actually, perfect opportunity to say to anyone who's listening to this, if you are not on the Discord channel, definitely jump in there, because we actually have a channel called Barcode Gaming, an homage to an original OG podcast that I used to do and that Jess had been a guest on before. But you can come on there, and actually we would love to hear from you guys if you have suggestions.
I've been a guest in multiple characters too.
Yes, you have.
Remember Dr. Uliuj?
Yes, I do remember Dr. Uliuj. So we have we would love to get suggestions from you guys of games you think you could do. We could do a Ready Player 2 for, because like Jess said, we're not really sure which one next it'll be, right? So will it be more kind of co-op or kind of playing games against each other like that, playing a shooter or some shit like that, or if you can think of another game that could maybe facilitate some more of this conversation. I mean, full disclosure, we did about 75 hours worth of content on this game alone, which is incredible when you think about the amount of time we put into this game in terms of the amount of time of like straight up podcasting we did on this. So if there's a way to recapture that, if you guys have a thought of a game that it's not popping into our head right now, even if it doesn't have to be this kind of exact thing where it's just like a narrative we play through and talk through, but something that will generate this kind of discussion even while we're playing it, or like after we get through a gameplay session, because obviously we're going to sit down and play Call of Duty is not going to be like, well, let's sit and talk about the fucking ramifications of, the fucking military complex. Like, that's just not going to happen. So if you can think of something, we'd love to have you come into Discord and just throw out ideas of
Put it that way. It could happen.
Check out RP2. Well, we could figure out ways to talk about anything. Exactly. We'll figure out fucking anything, man. You get me to drink enough, I'll fucking talk about Call of Duty for fucking 10 hours. But I'm just saying, if you come up with a better way.
Ramifications of this war.
Right, exactly. Jon Snow playing the bad guy in this Call of Duty. Let's talk about them. I'm like, all right, CraigMakk, shut up. But
is Kit Harington really a character in Call of Duty?
He is in one of them.
Oh,
he's
wow,
in,
I missed
Advanced
that.
Warfighter, I think, or something like that, or Infinite Warfare. I think he's like the outer space bad guy that's coming to like fucking
Completely missed that.
Yeah, it's pretty dumb. But anyway.
Does he fuck his aunt? Does he fuck his aunt in that one?
He surprisingly does. Weird how they just were ahead of the game on that one. They didn't even know. Even back then, he just showed up for no
Now
reason.
he's
Fucking his
typecast.
aunt. Yeah, exactly.
He needs a fucking aunt.
He's like, Sean Bean has to die and everything. He's like, really? Again with my aunt? I gotta fuck. Come on. She's not even a character in the movie. You just wrote her in just because you hired me to play this role. Exactly, kid. Get to fucking. So anyway, on that note, I think
on the back of the
t-shirt. So I think this has been a good one, man. We killed it.
Oh yeah.
I had a good time. Thank you very much for talking me into this
like,
one. This was a good one.
It feels like a sense of accomplishment and also like a little sad.
Yes.
That it's finally over.
Absolutely. Yeah, we've always had this in our back pocket. Like, we don't have like the shit set up for another podcast, but we could definitely bang out another 2 hours of Ready Player 2. So now the fact that we have beaten it, and especially not having the next step in mind, like the next game, I'm like, fuck, man, let's go back and play it again, see what happens differently. But we'll figure something out. We will be back soon enough with some more Ready Player 2 shit. And Jess, I want to say thank you, man. This was an awesome time. I had a great time. Thank you to everyone who joined us in here. Everyone who's been watching. We know plenty of people that don't join in the rooms, but also just comment and let us know they watch the stream. So thank you to all you guys as well. It's been an
thank
awesome
you to
time.
50/50 Brewing.
Yes.
For creating this amazing beer. Holy shit.
Yeah, and for making me incredibly fucking jealous as my voice is fucking literally just dying, and I'm like, fuck, I want a beer so bad. On that note, I think it's probably time to pull the ripcord, dude, because it is late as fuck. But
yes,
Just,
yeah, we gotta go to work.
It's been an awesome pleasure, dude. Thank you, man.
Yes,
Ready
sir.
Player 2
Same here.
Done. We made it. All right,
well,
man.
this version of it, this chapter.
Yeah, Ready Player 2, Detroit Become Human is done, yes. The
There
next
we go.
one's going to come back and be better than ever. That's it. Fuck it. We're doing Mass Effect. All right, that's it. Decision made. Thank you, Jest. Have a good one, dude.
Completed by 2 years from now.
Exactly. It's 2027, and we're still playing an Xbox 360 game. This is amazing.
Nice.
All right, dude. I will talk to you. Thank you, everybody. Have a good night. And this is Live from the Man Cave. I am CraigMakk. You are?
Serious Jest.
We are live from the Man Cave, and this is Ready Player 2, and it is done. Ready Player 1 and Ready Player 2 signing off.